everybody was like, oh, well, I think I'll check Barbie out the first weekend and then I'll check Oppenheimer. And then, you know what I mean? Like, everybody wants to see these. They're both good in their... One of them is fucking one of the greatest movies I've ever seen in my life. And the other one
is Oppenheimer.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 122 of Press Any Key. You can find us on all social media at pressandykey.tv. You can also join the conversation in the comments section, our Discord. Give us a share and a like. I'm your host, Pat Navarano. With me, as always, my co-host. I can't believe I'm forgetting your name. Give it up for Mike Burke and Nick McFly, and Liz is on the ones and twos as per usual.
Hey, Gingy.
And what's it called? Boy, what a weekend, huh? What a weekend.
This is the longest weekend I've had in a while.
True, dude. I got in a car accident. I saw a Broadway show, and I saw 2 big summer blockbusters, and I had a migraine.
Oh.
It's been a weekend.
Did either of you do a proper Barbenheimer day?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you?
I did.
Nice.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh, you did?
That's
okay,
my boy.
so explain to me what that was like, because here's the thing is that, like, I was never doing that.
That was the only way I could do
that.
We talked about it. You led me to believe that we were all going to.
You did this to me.
I did. No such thing.
I wanted to.
Yeah, no, we talked about it and we're like, oh, we're all going to go together. And then
No,
I find out
we never
a
said
couple
that.
weeks ago, oh, well, we got the 70 millimeter in New York.
That is sold out, by the way, through like August.
I have some stuff
like
for
mid-August right
And,
now, which is wild.
Well, the other thing was that, so it's funny that we're jumping right into the 70 millimeter topic, but what I was gonna say was that it's a good thing that we didn't go, because a lot of these 70 millimeter shows have been breaking down.
Yeah.
Like 40 minutes left in the movie, and they can't figure out how to change a reel, or that it runs too hot.
Which mile are we in?
Exactly. Like, it's one of those things where, like, in Chicago, they flew an IMAX tech out there, and he's out there for 3 weeks doing nothing but running Oppenheimer showings. It just goes to say that it's lucky that it's as good as it is, because if it was a worse movie that was shot this way, it would have been it wouldn't have been worth it.
Do you think Tom Cruise is really mad now? Because like these are fucking up, and it's like still taking away screen time.
I mean,
Did you see the box office drop off?
I was about to say Mission Impossible took quite a hit this week.
Yeah, man.
But so
if they just fucking pushed it back a month.
I actually was going to talk about that, because, you know, the thing is that this is it. This is the final weekend of the summer movie season. After this, I think next week is, even if it's good, I am not seeing it, is Disney's The Haunted Mansion. That's the big budget movie. And then that's it. Everything else is all small, low-key stuff. There's that Voyage of the Demeter.
Yeah,
I want to see.
I'm into that.
And it's the movie. You ever read Dracula or see Dracula, like any of the versions? It's the story of the boat, like what he does on the boat.
It's basically
okay.
one chapter from the book.
It's like
which
Alien.
is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
kinda cool.
Alien, but it's Dracula on the boat.
Yeah. All right.
So that's pretty much it. And that was the other thing I want to tell you guys, is we are talking nothing but video games for at least 2 months, because I am fucking tired. Like, this has been one of the craziest marathons of going to the movies.
I just
think
got
I've
my
had in
Stubbs
life.
membership back.
I know, dude.
I'm going to see a ton more movies with or without you guys.
Mike's got to change his Stubbs to Game Pass again.
Honestly, yeah. And the fucked up part is that there's the closest AMC to me is an hour away right now.
Man.
So I'm going to Regal. I'm going to.
Yo, shout out to Regal, because they wrote back to us.
They
and they
did.
said that they were gonna give the chain that you shouted out a shout out on their social media for
Nice.
exemplary, like, oh, look how much they're celebrating the movies.
I know. You're welcome, Regal Cinema.
So yeah, this is, like I said, culmination of season 2023. There's really nothing big coming out until we start hitting like October with like all the horror stuff, and then really like we got Blue Beetle, which is
not big.
That's gonna flop. Aquaman 3 got its Aquaman 2 got its third reshoot, and it actually got a positive response from audiences, so they might pull this one out. That's the only one of those movies to make $1 billion. That's why they're doing a second one.
That's your last finger on the cliff with that.
That's it. And then the Marvels. And then there's there's like the Martin Scorsese one that's coming out. Scorsese. That's what I said.
Scorsese.
Yeah.
I was saying the other night I saw a trailer for the Marvels at a restaurant we were at, and there's not a release date on the trailer anymore.
Yeah.
It just says new trailer out now.
Well, the Marvels is supposed to be it's supposed to be the sequel to Secret Invasion, right? Or it's like
No.
supposed to like go right into it.
No. It's supposed to be after Secret Invasion, and it's the sequel to Captain Marvel.
And
But as in like, yeah, it's supposed to. I'm sorry,
and the
not
Miss
a
Marvel show.
Yeah,
not
and
not a
Tiana-
sequel,
and
but per se,
Tiana
but like,
Paris
yeah,
is
is
WandaVision.
is from like you have to watch Secret Invasion. You should watch Secret Invasion to understand that movie a bit better.
I'm glad Iger finally came out and said like this has been a total disaster. Disney Plus has been an unmitigated disaster.
Well, you know, if they could just pay the actors and writers.
Yeah, that's where I'm
well-
at. Did you know that the total amount of money that the WGA and SAG-AFTRA are asking for is about $250 million? And do you know Disney just threw $329 million away on one Indiana Jones movie? And here's the thing. They've done that multiple times this year. So you're telling me that they can't just throw another $250 million their way?
No,
Like,
it comes out to like point like
it's
1%.
5%. It's like 4 or 5%. It changed recently.
Oh,
but I
okay.
know what
You-
you're talking
were you seeing
about.
that tweet
Yeah,
that I-
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It did change recently.
Now I'm going to talk about it like it's fact from one tweet I saw.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, that's the way to stay informed these days. Or X, is that what it's gonna be?
Yeah.
Yeah, the new porn account.
Dude, there's nothing that billionaires do more than throw away all their branding team's hard work. Like HBO, gone. Twitter, X. Like,
That's the thing. Everything that has an X online or in the
Yeah.
internet related is pornography.
Speaking of X, Barbie. Did you guys not see we saw a Barbie. There's lots of nudity in the Barbie that we saw. It was crazy.
You talking about Oppenheimer?
Oh, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
Sloppenheimer.
I do have that. All right, so obviously this is Barbenheimer weekend, and lots of people went out. I think the first confirmed number was 20,000 back-to-back showings. I don't think that there was as much crossover as you expect in this Barbenheimer situation, because like I said, there was only 20 to 30,000 double bookings. That being said, this was the weekend for movies. I'm talking
the double bookings didn't matter because people were going out to
every-
see
Cinema
one or
But
is
the
here's the
other.
thing: everybody that could not get tickets to go see Barbie and Oppenheimer went to go see Mission Impossible instead. Everybody, I mean, for what it was left playing in. And the other thing is that I have a tweet later that shows it, but it's so weird how like this didn't spark a versus. It started an and. You know what I mean? Like everybody was like, oh, well, I think I'll check Barbie out the first weekend and then I'll check Oppenheimer. And then, you know what I mean? Like everybody wants to see these. They're both good in their, one of them is fucking one of the greatest movies I've ever seen in my life. And the other one
Is Oppenheimer.
But yeah, I'm just glad that it's over because I need a break. I need a break to turn off all these fucking screens. and
You didn't
just
even
hang
watch them
out.
back to back, dude.
No. Okay, so tell me what that experience was like. So you saw Barbie first.
No.
Oh,
I did
no.
I did the correct thing.
Okay.
Black coffee.
Honestly, woke up, black coffee, went and I had a bowl of cereal, and then I went to a 1:00 showing of Oppenheimer.
I had a bowl of Raisin Bran.
Of Raisin Bran. It was life. But I went to, and I'm in like bumblefuck upstate.
Yeah.
So like, and I was not expecting anything to be there. We get there, and I was like, oh, I don't have to buy tickets or I don't have to buy them in advance because this theater that I'm going to, when I'm telling you that it looks like a converted high school, it's basically a converted high school, and
Sick.
you don't have a assigned seat. It's just go buy a ticket and go sit down.
Good luck.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. And I get there, and
the old west of movie theaters.
the line is out the door, and I'm like, oh, because we were gonna go see Barbie later that night, me and a couple friends, and we hadn't bought the tickets yet. So I'm just texting them. I was like, get online right now. You need to buy Barbie tickets. Like this is 1:00 on a Friday in upstate bumblefuck, and this theater is sold out.
Oh, so you went at 1:00 for Oppenheimer. What time did you see Barbie?
7:20.
Okay.
Holy shit.
I did have.
I did 10:30 in the morning Oppenheimer, 4:00 in the afternoon Barbie.
Wow. How was that?
It was great. We
Yeah.
had Buffalo Wild Wings for lunch.
Sick.
Good call.
It was a good
Fine.
day.
I'm also fairly certain there was a teen couple fucking in the bathroom when I went and saw Oppenheimer.
Fun.
They saw the scene in the movie and they're like, we need to
They're
recreate
like-
this movie right now.
To the bathroom. How did you see it?
We went and saw Barbie Thursday at like what, 7 o'clock or some shit.
Yep.
And we went and saw it in Dolby. And when we got there, that's the most pink I've ever seen at a movie theater. I mean, this like lots of young girls dressed up in pink, lots of dudes there. Because listen, the one thing you can
Why did you went full Minnesota? You're like, lots of dudes.
the one thing you can count on young men is that if there is young women that they like going somewhere, they'll hoe down too, okay? And they were wearing pink and they were
pink
giggling.
boas.
Yeah, they were giggling just as much as the girls were. I was even, I mean, like I wasn't wearing pink, but even I was just like, yo, this is a fucking normie weekend for sure, because that shit was packed.
Mm-hmm.
Then when we went and saw Oppenheimer this morning, we walked in and Liz was like, that's the line for snacks. It's around the fucking, because we went to Jersey Gardens, which is a big theater, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, but like it's a normie weekend. So let's go around to at the A-list side, 4 people in line. I was like, yeah, because these are people who don't come to the movies that are like,
you poor
everybody's
people.
in on the fucking joke. That's why everybody's here. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't discredit how good these movies are, and that this is a roaring, monstrous comeback as far as the box office is concerned, and how many people are actually going to see these movies. But yeah, nevertheless, this was the most packed I have seen a movie theater all summer.
I think it's
no
really
doubt.
a testament to the marketing.
And Chris Nolan.
I mean, I'm like for Barbie, obviously the marketing, they were like, I'm not showing shit about the movie. You know, it's going to be a Barbie movie. We are going to do great, massively integrated full-scale marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Oppenheimer, they were like, every 3 weeks we are releasing a still picture of, is it Cillian or Cillian? Cillian Murphy.
He's Irish.
Just looking into the camera, dead-eyed.
No fighting.
No fighting. Mm-hmm. And that's it. That's the marketing. And it worked great.
I mean, yes, the marketing, but also just the synergy, the meme of it all. That really was what did it. It had nothing to do with the marketing.
I
got to
be honest. I'm glad that we're talking about this. Here's my theory. I think Oppenheimer would have done the same. I think Barbie would have done worse. Because Christopher Nolan has a built-in cult fan base, and every single one of his movies that opens does better than the last one by a significant margin.
I would disagree on the Oppenheimer side.
No. Okay, fair enough.
The people who would go to see Barbie, there's plenty of people who are not movie people, the normies, who would go and see a fun, lighthearted Margot Robbie movie, are not the people who are going to go sit through a 3-hour drama.
No, but Christopher Nolan fans would.
Yes,
and
so those people were going to be there
pull.
either way. Did you see the projections shot up? I think this movie is like doubled what it was predicted to make this weekend. This movie definitely benefited from the Barbenheimer bump.
It for sure did. Yeah, I thought it would make probably around, because I think it made close to, I know we'll get into it later,
like
close to like
80,
88, 90.
Yeah.
I thought would have made around 60.
So maybe we should start.
We'll get into
We'll start
that.
talking about. We'll start with Barbie right now, non-spoiler.
Well,
and
first
just
pull up that map that I gave you, because I thought that's an interesting way to kind of start.
Pull up that map.
Don't you
So
fucking...
this map is a map of the United States broken out by their interest in either Barbie or Oppenheimer, and I think there's some interesting data to be found here. The first thing,
New Mexico
New
makes
Mexico
sense.
is obviously like, we're out here to rep.
We out here at Los Alamos.
But also Washington, D.C. plus 20 into the Oppenheimer. It's just like all those, like the political people are like, this is a movie for us. But
It's about time Jay's getting his due.
Yeah.
look at Mississippi. That's astonishing to me.
Dude, they're all about fucking Barbie goes fishing with her toe down there, okay? Like,
You know
Their
why?
extra toe.
You know why? Yeah.
no, that's New Mexico. That's afterwards.
Yeah, no.
They got
With
extra.
her fused toes. It's-
Barbie has webbed fingers.
it's got to be from all the pageantry shit.
Ooh, that's interesting.
That's kind of
the honey boo boos of the world.
I mean, also, because look, you're getting the South, which probably was like, hell yeah, brother, atom bomb. But we're getting Barbie.
yeah, but even Texas is in the
Well,
Barbie territory.
Are you guys on sorority?
Texas is on
TikTok
a,
at all?
on a trajectory.
This time
to
of
be-
year?
Liz, no. Enlighten us.
Oh no! This time of year, starting the last few weeks of August, we get Southern School Sorority Rush. We
Roll
get
Tide.
Bama Rush. We get Mississippi
All them
Rush.
girls went and saw Barbie, bro.
That's what this is. That is these sorority girls down there seeing Barbie.
Okay.
I think the other funny ones are the ones that are dead center.
Yeah.
Like,
You got Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania.
All the notable
Wyoming,
swing
Nebraska.
states.
I wonder if this can be like extrapolated out
And
into
political.
a presidential
And-
like political
But
thing.
no,
I
then
think
you
it's-
got Texas and Florida are so weird, but pretty much everything else kind of does line up.
But what's also really fucking hilarious is that these are two movies that, at least in a abstract purview, you could say one of them is left wing and one of them is right wing. And just
No,
in the
you know,
story-
you're
and
100%
and
correct.
This fucking absolutely does not represent that.
Yeah.
Because like, look at New York, like look at New Jersey. You know what I mean?
Kind of
Like,
did the opposite
Yeah,
of what it should,
exactly.
like what you would expect it
yeah,
to do.
yeah. But I mean, like, it's just funny how they line up that way, and
Yeah.
the fact that they're both pink, and I mean, they should have really been orange for Oppenheimer, but whatever.
Or like reddish
And
for Barbie because
yeah.
folks that can see us.
This is a red shirt, right? Everyone thinks
This is not
a red.
the right lighting to be viewing. You need to see this shirt in 77 millimeter.
Okay,
Nick,
all right.
go to the bathroom, take a bathroom selfie,
See,
and post.
Okay.
this
We'll put a
map
poll.
is the two genders of movies, and Nick is not one of them.
Okay.
It is
This
the
shirt is
spectrum
gender
of genders.
non-conforming.
Yes.
I don't know how we got here, but let's talk about Barbie non-spoiler. So, Barbie. Here's how I would like to start this. I would just like to say that I knew absolutely nothing about the plot of this movie before I went into it. I had no preconceived notions. I knew it was going to be a comedy, and I knew that they had put a lot of money into it. So at the very least, it was going to look good. It had an interesting look, and it, like this, I did not expect the. I'm going to use the term bombardment, but not in a negative connotation. But the bombardment of messaging that was in this movie, but how clever it was done and how well it was written. So I'll put it like that. Like, I just wasn't expecting that. Not like I was like repulsed by it or anything. Like, you know, it was done really well. And yeah, even, and then just Ryan Gosling, absolutely legendary. Margot Robbie
And that's
is
ungodly.
Margot
bro.
Robbie is basically is perfect. And like, her character has an actual arc and there, like, you know what I mean? It's just, it could have been like hollow, stupid comedy trash, or like obviously like a turn, like this is a big property that we want to make, because Mattel currently now has 45 properties they're developing movies on. That's not a joke. And
What?
No, it really is. I think it's 44 or 45.
They
It's
have
one of those.
45 toys.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just one of those things. I was not expecting all of the commentary in it. However, it was done really well. It was funny, not all the time though, because there was some jokes that like exploded. There was one joke which I know we're all thinking of the same joke, that when they said it, I went, "Oh my god!" And
Early on, right?
no, a little bit more towards Act 2. That made me crack up really hard. And then there were some other jokes that were after that that was just like fucking, you could hear a pin drop. It just was not funny at all.
Oh, we had a great like movie theater experience with this one. Everybody, it's interesting because like we were sitting next to a group of like, I want to say like preteen girls, and we were like laughing our asses off a lot of the time at a lot of the jokes, because this is exactly one of those movies where it's like you're going to take your kids to it and it's going to have things for the kids, and it's going to have all of those like classic like old Cartoon Network shows that had like a shit ton of jokes in there for the parents watching them. Not a shit ton, but you know what I mean.
No. I'm
Yeah.
keep going. I'm with you. I mean, the only thing I would add to that is just that it wasn't just like, hey, they snuck in an adult joke.
No, it was-
like,
that's the
here's
joke.
this whole fucking ideology. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, and here's a whole commentary on it. And by the way, here's the reverse commentary on the opposite of this. And it's just like, I mean, like, I don't hate it because it's done really well. It's just, I was so not expecting that.
But I'm talking about, I'm going a little more simple. I'm like, you know, all of that aside for like right now is like, there's one joke, and it's not spoiling, where Ken is Beach Ken. And all of the Kens are on the beach, and they're going to have a beach off, and they're going to beach off one another. And like, we're losing it because, you know, we had a couple drinks, of course, for, you know, going to see Barbie. And like the girls next to us are just turning to their mom and they're like, why are they laughing? Like, what's funny about that? And like, I felt that happened so many times during the movie. And I was like, this is just made perfectly for like people 25 to, or not, you know, 25, but like, I feel like it had a lot of 90s baby kind of like service in it.
So it's interesting that you say that. After we got out of it, Alexis was talking to her sister, who is 10 years younger, different generation, and she was saying that she thought it was kind of funny. A lot of the humor just didn't speak to her at all. She was like, it's a lot, it's Gen X and millennial humor, which I totally agree with.
There's a lot of crude humor that I don't think younger like Gen Z and Gen A,
even
would
just like
get.
even like the
references.
the depression stuff, which
Yeah.
I'll just like sprinkle in there, like fucking hysterical,
Yeah.
and like we're losing our minds, and they're like, okay,
Well, I mean, Greta Gerwig's in our fucking. She's a millennial.
Yeah,
in our
right?
demo.
Yeah, she's so it makes sense, but what did you think of the movie?
So I went into it with really high expectations because of all like the shining reviews, and it's been like super, everybody's been hyping it up, and I was actually disappointed. I thought the story was incredibly messy, and there was too many plot threads going on. They really should have streamlined it. Yeah, I just thought it was okay. I was actually ready to just get the fuck out of the theater at that point. I was like, this isn't holding my attention.
So
I would give it. I rated it like a 7.
Okay.
Just pretty like average.
Liz, you're the opposing view on this because I know that you loved it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I did. I'm going to say this actually about both movies today. They both entranced me, but in different ways.
Well, Christ, I'd hope so.
Yes. No, I absolutely love this. I think
I felt like a serial killer after both of them.
I think somebody, at least for me on TikTok, kind of put it the right way. I came out of that movie with a new sense of self-worth and feeling bad for my mother. I came home and I was like, I'm so sorry, Mom.
yeah, it's a Greta movie. She does that.
Yes.
So, I said this to Liz, and I said, I gotta be honest, Liz. I was like, the Barbenheimer meme is cute, but I don't expect Barbie to be anywhere near as good as something that Christopher Nolan is gonna deliver. And she was like, well, it's fun. It says, I go, no, I get all that. I go, but this is just like when I was like, for months, was like, I pre-ordered Doom Eternal. Who's ready for Doom Eternal?
Yeah.
Nobody said shit about Animal Crossing. And then we all got locked in our houses. And then all of a sudden, all these Animal Crossing and Doom memes started. And then pre-orders started to go through. I was like, no.
I've been waiting.
I think you.
And this was the same feeling where I was like, listen, I'm sure the other thing is going to be, like, I'm sure Barbie was going to be good. And to be fair, I think for what it is, because I agree, like, I'll put it like this right off the bat, the first 20 minutes, I was totally checked out. I was just bored out of my fucking mind. It wasn't
For Barbie?
it wasn't until they started introducing the ideas of their story and explaining them and working them out that I was like, all right, I'm with you. Like, if we're doing this, let's fucking do it.
I was the complete opposite,
and
to me is the more they added, the more just unfocused I felt the whole thing became.
the last 10 minutes of that movie is some of the best last 10 minutes of a movie I've ever seen. But I would only judge it by that last 10 minutes. But this was the same feeling I was feeling, was just like, I fucking waited for Doom. Like, I've been waiting for Oppenheimer since we reported, like,
since
a
it came
whole
out.
year ago, since we started talking about it. And because it happens to be on the same weekend as this ridiculous concept, everybody just memed it into box office success.
Well, it's just like the pure dichotomy,
Sony
not
is
dichotomy, like
fucking
the
slamming
opposition.
their head against the wall right now.
like the same kind of thing as when GameStop became like it was this unstoppable force of meme culture, just saying, this is gonna happen. I don't care if the laws of nature say it shouldn't happen, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's wild that this one worked. Like, out of all of like the Gentle Minion and like the Morbius shit and everything, I think this one was just so organically set up for humor.
So
with like the A and the B of it.
Yeah. So, yeah. But anyway, so back to the movie, I guess. Ryan Gosling, though, absolutely legendary in the role, in what he's given to do. I'm not gonna say what as his role in the story and how well it was. I think his performance was fucking awesome, and I don't think people give comedy performances enough, as much respect as dramatic performances, especially considering the ones that we've seen this weekend.
Yeah.
But no, I was like, I knew there would be a Best Supporting Actor nomination coming from Oppenheimer. I didn't expect one for Barbie, but honestly, it's up there. It's like, because he really is good. He's good the whole movie. As a matter of fact, at some points I was like, every scene he's in is great, and then every other scene is kind of like hit and miss. And the other thing was this: I felt that like you could have cut, like, I don't know where or how much, but I felt like you could have cut like 15 minutes out of the movie's runtime, maybe even 20, and it would have felt a little bit more. Like, there's one thing I'll mention it in spoilers, but like there's one group of individuals who show up, and like it's all right.
Yeah,
all right. What's gonna happen? Like,
Nothing.
you got a really good actor.
The Libyans.
Yeah, the Libyans.
Yeah.
You got a really good actor to
What
head
are you
this
gonna
group,
do?
and like he already delivered the funniest line in the movie. Like, what else is there gonna be? And then nothing happens. You know what I mean? So
that's what I think, to Nick's point, like my main criticism of it was they were an enemy, like an antagonist perspective in it, which I thought was kind of unnecessary and really didn't add to it. Right. But I think just like, as in from my summing up my take on the movie, was I went in similarly. I was like, oh, this is going to be pretty fun. This is going to be a decent time. I'm going to go in and I'm going to get out, and I'm probably not going to think about this movie really afterwards.
Right.
I had a lot better of a time than I thought I would. And I really liked the writing. I really liked how it was directed. Like you said, the performances were fantastic. When they were sad, they were actually like crying. Like, it wasn't just like a really like rompy kind of jokey kid thing. They like
went through a range of emotions.
They went for it, and I got to give them credit. And I loved all the
Robbie is excellent.
She's great.
She has one really big scene where she gets to show her range that is not played for laughs, and it's actually very touching. And then there's a bit towards the end, but I feel like it flops so violently between this really nice, earnest, like touching tone, and then it's like back to shithead comedy over here. You know what I mean? Like,
hey man, I'm fine. I'm so ready for shithead comedy to come back. Like that Jennifer Lawrence movie where she's just trying to fuck
boner
a kid.
Comedy?
Yeah, boner comedy. Like I want that stuff to come
her
back.
boobs are in that too. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that
went.
either. Fantastic. But
You got a real Oppenheimer situation.
We were talking about this last night,
We were.
and I forget whose boobs came up.
Liz, whose boobs came up?
Somebody's boobs came up, and me and Liz, and we were
It's
driving.
because we were people watching at a red light in the city, and there was a girl wearing one of those like shirts that's definitely like probably
It's
just
definitely like a
handkerchief.
bandana,
Yeah.
one of those things. And
New York, baby.
No, it
basically
looked, outfit
the
was a
the
10
end of
out
the
10.
conversation was I said our friend was like, do you want to see her boobs? I said, yes, we want every pair of boobs you want to see, no matter what. I was like, tits are like golf, you play the course you're on, but it's always a good time. Like, that's
Honestly,
that's so like
No, that's. I think the analogy you're looking for is pizza. I don't care if it's cold, if it's bad, I'll always eat it.
yeah, okay.
And I will be honest.
No, Nick,
I
that's ass.
I instigated the
no.
conversation. He goes,
This is your
that girl's
fault, Liz.
wearing a handkerchief, and like said something about boobs, and I just went, show me the titties. That was it.
Show me them.
You said it quietly to yourself. You didn't
I
yell
thought
it
that
at
was an
this.
inside
You didn't yell
thought.
it at this woman.
I actually opened my window and yelled at this woman on the street
Hey, yo,
in New
ma.
York City.
Hey, yo. Yeah, catcalling women in New York is fun. Anyway, so Barbie.
This feels to me, I don't know if this is actually what happened, but it feels like it's the victim of a script that went through many different rewrites, and they just couldn't decide which parts to keep and which to let go.
Well, this was like being rewritten and like tossed around for
Amy
years.
Schumer
there-
was originally
it
attached.
really shows
Yeah.
because, like you said, like, oh, there's a villain of the movie. It's like that element. Then there's the Ken's thing going on. Then there's the mother-daughter story. Then there's Barbie trying to find herself. It's like pick a lane
You know what? It is possible that his shirt might be pink because this entire time I thought his sweatpants were gray and they're actually like
No,
green.
I looked at it in
They're
the light.
melon. They're
They're like
melon colored.
watermelon. Yeah. All right,
Cantaloupe, honeydew.
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 Okay, but anyway, but go on, you were saying.
No, I'm just saying, like, it feels to me like the fact that it was rewritten so much really was at the detriment
Well,
of how
I
tight
believe-
the script
I
was.
believe-
Different directors
will-
came in. Were like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with this. I don't know how to position it. I don't know what Mattel's going to allow. Like, where am I going to put all this?
On that note, it was very surprising how much Mattel allowed them
Yeah.
to take the piss out of Mattel.
That's the only way you can do it in the way and without spoiling it is like they take the piss out of like some Barbies and some Barbie properties that like are you're like, what the fuck? They made that?
Yeah.
And I think it was a way for Mattel to kind of be like, look, you know, times were weird back then. We had weird people in there doing weird shit, and we're just gonna own up to it.
And the other thing too that I think is cool about this movie, at least in my humble opinion, is that I think you're correct on some of the story beats and definitely some of the pacing, Nick, is like that was kind of the undercooked parts. Obviously the production is really good, the performance is really good. We didn't even mention Alan yet.
I was about to say we didn't even mention.
could you forget?
We didn't even mention
Actually,
Weird Barbie, who was
and then
stealing
well,
the show.
we're still in non-spoiler.
Yeah.
I know.
And then the other thing I wanted to point out was specifically was that it kind of almost reminds me of like a Wes Anderson movie in some scenes where it's like this hyper realistic stylized like environment. But the other thing that it kind of looked like, and I can't believe I'm even about to make this comparison, is like Beau is Afraid when they're running.
Or as Mike likes to call it, Beau's weird.
Beau's weird. He's weird and afraid.
He like in some of the scenes, like have you guys seen Beau is Afraid?
Not yet.
There is-
I haven't
Don't
seen
spoil
Beau's
it.
Yeah, I'm
weird.
not gonna spoil it, but there's some pretty hectic scenes going on, and I think of like when she's running through the corporate office, and like you see what that set looks like, and how like obviously they're making fun of what it's like to be a corporate worker and stuck
A
in
stooge.
Yeah, a stooge pretty much, and like it just looked like it had that style of like
Almost theatrical, like
yeah.
on stage.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. It was just that type of vibe pretty much, and that was the cool stuff. Was the subtle stuff, and I think when they delivered their message and their commentary through comedic means, it was much funnier than some of the hand-fisted and on-the-nose scenes. Because even if you like those scenes, you can't say that they're not on the nose, because they fucking are.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying that's not a problem,
No,
because
not at all.
they're not trying to masquerade it as something else. That it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like that's what they're trying to tell a story about. So.
And we were talking a little bit about it. I was like, I appreciate the way that they did those type of scenes because the whole movie is very on the nose. I mean, even in the sense of like we were just talking about like that scene where they're running through the office. It's jokey, it's dramatic, it's physical comedy, and everything is really ham-fisted. Everything's really on the nose. So that to be consistently through it never made that seem like that they just kind of like, you know, stepped on
It
the
was a
soapbox.
conscious choice.
It was a conscious choice to put it in, and it felt organic into the situation versus like, well, you know, we're going to do the service of what we need to do, and here it is.
Yeah, exactly. I would agree. So, just wrap up non-spoilers. We'll start with numbers. I'll start. I gave this like an 8 out of 10. I'd stick with it because honestly, like, I'm not the main demo for this. If that wasn't clear from the marketing, it's very clear from watching the movie. But I wasn't offended by it because it was done well. It was done tastefully, and it is preachy in some parts. But once again, it's like still. It still has that family comedy vibe to it, which, although I don't think the story and all of the jokes land, it's one of those things where it's like, it wasn't awful. You know what I mean? That's the best way you know, I'm more conflicted on this than I am Oppenheimer. But so Nick, you said,
I give it a 7. To like, honestly, like I originally was going to give it a 6, but then I think about other things that I've given a 6. I'm like, that's too mean. So I give it a 7, and I think it's all style and too much substance is what I would say.
oh wow,
That's
okay.
good.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
I'm giving it like an 8.5 just from the sense of what it what it attempted to do, what it did. I do agree with your shortcomings with what you said, but I actually liked the hyper style of it. Like that did
That's
it.
the saving grace of
That
it,
did
I
it more for me, and that's giving me that higher score.
Liz, what about you?
The demographic for this film is going to give it a 9.5.
Oh, damn.
Good job.
9.5.
Yes, because I agree with you on the
8.25.
villain
It's an
plot line, I like forgot about it at one point. And I agree that maybe there's a couple pieces that were a little messy, but overall, I very much enjoyed this film.
Well, good.
8. Okay.
All right. Well, that's
Sick.
the end of the episode. We'll see you guys next week.
Yep, see ya.
Psych.
So before we get spoilers, I want to talk some box office for Barbie because it's a blowout weekend, baby.
It's a blowout. We're in the parking lot of Disney right now. We're getting our backs blown out.
Domestically, this did 155 million thousand quadrillion dollars. I have a stat here that I pulled up before.
Better than
Okay,
Indiana
so
Jones.
Barbie. Okay,
Yeah.
then international. This did 182 million. Worldwide, 337 million dollar take. This only cost 154 million dollars. So this thing already paid for itself and the marketing. It's all profit past here. Barbie's accomplishments: the biggest domestic opening of 2023. Didn't see that. I knew it'd be big, but I didn't see that coming. Biggest opening ever for a female director. Biggest opening for the movie based on a toy. All the Transformers like, what the fuck? Biggest opening ever for Margot.
Let them come.
Master Hell.
Biggest opening ever for Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, and the biggest opening weekend for a movie that isn't a sequel, remake, or superhero. And man, talk about a lot of fucking hoops they had to jump through on that last one.
I saw that this is the biggest
Biggest
opening.
movie for an original movie. They couldn't even get that together.
I saw this is the biggest opening since Endgame, like the biggest box office domestic.
Yeah.
What was super interesting, just as a tail note, I know we were talking about a while ago, what type of movies and everything are kind of like, happening now. If you look at the top 5 movies for box office performance this year, they're all kids movies.
Yeah.
It's for predominantly kids movies. It's Mario movie, obviously. This is in it.
That's the part he likes to get touched the least.
Oh well, he's not putting up a fight.
He will start.
Do you see his tail?
Do you see the tail?
Yeah,
That's
there you
letting
go.
you know don't touch me.
That looks like he's happy.
I thought so too.
To me, that looks happy.
You don't understand, Nick. Happiness is pain to him. So,
Question about your theater experience really quick, because Pat, I'm curious if this goes into how much money this movie makes. Were they selling the Cars and Margot Robbie body?
No, I went to a Regal theater, so
AMC for about, I think
$65
Yeah,
I think.
$65. You could get Margot Robbie's pink convertible and her Barbie.
and
Nice.
a popcorn.
Oh, I don't know this one. I just asked the
My
woman
theater,
carrying
the
it.
only thing they were doing is they were turning the air conditioner off in the theater.
And all the Sound of Freedom movie theaters that they were playing.
I went out to dinner on Friday, and I sat next to somebody
Oh.
who brought up Sound of Freedom, and I did everything to bite my tongue. It got to the point where he brought up the guy that it's based off of, and I just got up. I just got out with, that guy's a fucking fraud. So and he's like, oh, how do you know? I was like, I go, aren't you the do your own research guy? Yeah. So do your own research. Just give him a Google and get back to me. Okay. Well, yeah.
Then talk.
And then it went away for the rest of the night. But I was very much.
We're letting Sound of Freedom eat into our Barbie time.
Yeah. So
Shut the fuck up.
there we go.
Liz, that was beautiful.
So, all right. So anyway, box office. This is crazy. I think over 57% of ticket buyers were women and their daughters. So,
Hell yeah,
can they-
women and their daughters.
How do they know the and their daughters part?
Because they have all of our cookies.
Yeah, but if I bought a ticket for me and my fiance, how do they know who the plus one is?
Because you have the kids ticket. I think they're just doing off of a children's
Yeah,
So
if
how
you
do you
have
know
a
it's a
kid's ticket.
daughter?
Oh, Nicholas.
there ain't no little boys.
They're
being brought to
doing
this.
like, all right, sure, pull down your pants.
Listen.
Let us see.
Not to be that guy, but I don't think any real hims that small would be want to see this. You know what I mean? I just don't think the kid that plays with trucks is going to be like, let's go see Barbie. You
We
know?
need a Tonka
Anybody
movie.
can play with the truck.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, well, just wait for Saw Patrol.
Yeah,
Saw
Saw
Liz
Patrol.
sent me that one.
Saw Patrol is
Okay.
coming.
So, all right. So, let's do some spoilers. Okay. So,
I pet the cat too much.
just coughing right into his face. Dude, he's like a stone right now. Let's do spoilers. I did not see here. Okay. There's one of these things where there's literally any number of instances I can pick from that it's like, oh, that's when they tried to get this across, or when they tried to. It's like, no, it's all of it. It's the whole text. It's the sacred Jedi text. It's the whole book that they put in the movie. So there's like not one thing I can point to and be like, wasn't it cool when they drew this allegory to this? Because it's like, you're right. It's like too much substance. Every couple of scenes, if it wasn't directly said in another scene, there's either something going on in the background or there's something happening that is constantly reminding you of what this movie's about.
I think they fought hard to keep it under 2 hours because it's a runtime of 1:14, I think, if I remember.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of things to that point where, like, we'll talk about it where when we first meet the daughter, she has a whole diatribe about what Barbie did to women's like self-esteem and
I thought
worth
that
and
was
everything.
interesting.
But like what you're saying in these instances of these things, it's like, okay, like, so it's like we need to, like, I felt there were a lot of checking off of boxes in that regard for things, and to the effect, like, they needed to do it. I think they did it well, and I think that it worked. But it was kind of like, okay, like, here we're going to introduce Barbie. We're going to introduce why Barbie's problematic. We're going to give Ken some, like, knowledge about the patriarchy.
Dude,
like,
that's exactly what I'm saying, though. I thought that was the clever part. I thought the clever part was depicting pretty much like how little girls view their self-worth through the bell curve of Barbie. I thought that was ingenious. I was like, what an angle
And not only
to
that-
take a fucking story about a toy. I thought that was the genius part.
yeah.
So you have that, which is great. Plus, you have the extra level of capitalism and consumerism
Yes.
layered in there.
Which, like I said, very, like, to tell that through the vision of Barbie. And I love, first of all, I love any reference to the monolith. So opening with the monolith and being that little girls used to just have babies, and then Barbie came along, and Barbie was you. I understand.
No. I was talking to Kevin earlier. Called him up, just like, hey, how you been? And he was like, I just watched 2001: A Space Odyssey for the first time. He's like, I got high and I watched this movie and I was losing my mind. Just
What does it have to do with?
Yeah.
the monolith?
Oh, right.
So the monolith and the apes too, you know, smashing stuff.
Yeah.
And like I loved that. I thought what a great and like it's good because it actually supports the story. It's not just let's do a fucking
Intro-y thing.
And
Yeah.
Helen Mirren as the narrator.
Helen Mirren as narrator is great, and she has that amazing line after Barbie breaks down and cries when
Yes.
they talk. Yeah, when
So,
they,
yeah, a note for the director.
Yeah.
She's like, if you're going to talk about a woman being ugly, Margot Robbie is not who you want to cast.
yeah, which our theater lost it.
Oh,
on that
yeah,
one.
that got big laughs.
So and like I said, the monolith was really great. I really enjoyed that. And then after that, with the song and and I was just like, oh no, I was like, this is now too much setup. You know what I mean? Like I felt like there was, I don't know, I just wasn't fucking into it. I don't want to beat down on it. You know what I mean? Because personally,
Do you
I think it
mean the
looks
song,
beautiful.
The
The
Lizzo-
song in
the Lizzo
general,
song.
or the song, or the fact that they did it twice was too much setup.
I think that worked.
I think the doing it twice worked because it showed you the repetition.
It was
and
like Squidward in Tentacle Acres.
yeah, but how she changed. You know what I mean? How she
Yeah.
like wore blue that day instead of what, you know what I mean? Like, and I thought that was you know, but then like it's like, all right, come on, like let's get to the meat here. You know what I mean? Like we did a prologue. You know what I
But
mean?
that's
like,
the thing. Like, that is the meat of the movie. The meat of the movie essentially is, I want to say, like, I think the meat of this movie is the in-betweens of like big events happening. Like the main kind of pivotal points of the movie change the direction, and then you get meat with it. Like, for example, it's like Ken figures out about the patriarchy. Then you get all this meat about Kenland or Ken World or whatever the fuck they call it.
Yeah.
Like, it's-
Kendom.
Kendom, yeah. In his Mojo Dojo Casa houses. But like, I think it's that kind of thing. It's like the events of the movie weren't as important as they were like, it felt like a very big yes and.
yeah.
And
So you thought
And?
this was improv?
yeah, great
Oh.
improv.
Actually, I feel like there was probably a lot of not to say the whole thing was, but I feel like there probably was a ton of
So-
improv
You
in
had
there.
Kate McKinnon and Will Ferrell.
Well,
Like,
actually, a fun fact is that when they were doing the choreo for the big bespoke dance number. They found out that Simu Liu could do a backflip and Ryan Gosling could not.
Oh,
And
that's what that is?
That's why and Greta was there the day that they found out, and they wrote that into the script to be part of their like
What did you guys think of
Kennergy.
Simu Liu?
He was great. I thought he was great.
The internet did not love him in this.
No?
I thought he
Truthfully, you go first.
I thought he tried to approach this as like, a weird, obviously counterpoint to Ken.
Oh, look at those toes.
Little beans.
Beans, thank you.
Beans.
Beets and beans.
I thought his was far too campy. Like he tried to do campy and he did campy bad.
You know what I felt like? It felt like someone told him this is the most important performance of his career, and he really went for it, and he just didn't stick the landing. Like he put it like I liked him much better as Shang-Chi than I liked him in this.
You're saying that he was campier than Ryan Gosling.
Well, Ryan Gosling was allowed to be campy.
But the other thing was he rode that line.
He rode the tiger.
Yeah.
So
He could see
well.
those stripes.
Okay, the other thing is like, listen, compared to the two of them, like Ryan Gosling is a more experienced actor than he was a stunt guy, beforehand.
Was he really?
Yeah. So I'm not saying he didn't do acting
All right,
before
that's our next Tom Cruise right there.
it's okay.
I'm calling it.
But the thing is like he so doing this obviously it's a great opportunity, and why wouldn't he take it? It's the biggest opening movie of this year. And he's featured in it heavily, of course. But I just don't think he was the right choice.
Yeah, I'm not sure which actor he's talking about
because Ryan Gosling almost did not agree to do this. Margot Robbie had to promise him presents every single day.
So, really?
She brought him a present every single
You
day.
know about they did sleepovers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had thought going into this, I think we had this conversation where we were like, I was like, why Ryan Gosling? I was like, why don't you have a younger actor? Why don't you have like a more fit actor? Not that he's not fit. He's ripped in this, but
I think those pecs are fake.
I think
that's supposed to be a joke.
He's ripped. He got ripped for it, but I think they definitely like spray brushed him.
I felt
and stuff.
the same way that leading up. I'm like, this feels like a weird choice.
Yeah.
It's a weird choice. And then I did there were two things that like came up as I was watching it. I was like, oh, through his conversations of like, when they're being dumb Barbies to try and attract the men or the Kens to like, get them unbrainwashed, basically.
Men.
Men.
Oh my God.
Alan.
Alan.
But they're doing all the things where like they do that classic, like, let me take your glasses off and now you're a pretty librarian. I was like, oh yeah, like to me, Ryan Gosling is the stereotypical like romance, like the Notebook,
That's true.
like
he's
that,
the
like he's
Notebook
the
guy.
Notebook guy and he's the like, here's looking at you kid kind of guy in my brain.
Ryan
That's a
Reynolds.
good point.
Ryan Reynolds.
Which is
He
weird.
did those rom-coms for years. Just
Exactly.
yeah.
But it's weird. It's like I have him and you guys too. You're like, yeah, the Notebook guy.
Yep.
That's really like the only romantic role he's pretty much been in. Like I looked at a bunch of others.
But he's still that
he's
guy in our brain.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. They're kind of like doing a little nod to that with it being Ryan Gosling and also giving him like slight redemption-y kind of thing for it. I think it's funnier because you're like, you took that man and then you put him in the stereotypical role and then you hung a lantern on it.
I feel like Ryan Gosling, though, is the reason why they went with him is because they knew how well equipped he was to do this role, in the sense that like he does action movies. He did that Blade Runner movie. He does dramas. He did Drive. Like he does real serious shit. He did
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
He did
La La Land.
He did Well,
what is the one I'm thinking of?
You're thinking of The Good Guys, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Other guy.
No.
The good. Oh no, you're right.
Good Guys.
Yeah.
That's Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
I saw that movie.
They look
with
exactly the same.
I saw that movie with Joe and Danny, and Ryan Gosling is also amazing in that. But he's like cursing and like he's playing a character written by Shane Black.
What did you say the name of that movie is?
That's The Good Guys, I think.
Sorry. Editor's note here. The Nice Guys.
The Nice Guys.
Thank
sir.
you.
The
Thank
Good
you.
Guys. This is the Walmart version.
The Good Guys.
The Good Guys.
We have the good guys at home.
Yeah. That's either way. He's really great in that too, and that's my point. Is that they knew he could do all that, but then you see La La Land, and it's like, all right, can we combine The Nice Guys with La La Land? His ability to sing and dance. Now, I think his voice was okay, but it's obvious they did a lot of work to it when he
We know
sang.
we know he's not a singer.
Yeah.
And I think they didn't try to make him like
But
sing,
dude,
but
it felt like you
like
guys.
sing talk.
You guys
Yeah.
know the big musical numbers at the end of the Jackass movies.
Yes.
When he did the I'm just Ken, it felt like one of those
Yes,
Jackass.
that's good. That's
you know
a
what
good
I mean?
comparison.
Like that's exactly what it was like. You know.
it was a I was like, shit, they're really like, I was like, we had that Peaches song with the Mario movie.
It's true.
I was like, we're getting Just Ken with this now. I mean, there's
Actually,
a lot of bespoke
you just
music
made
for this,
the,
but
the bringing it back to what you said earlier, like, oh, the top movies of this year are kids movies. Would you consider this a kids movie?
I would
it's
not.
like it's a children's property.
I would consider this a family film. I really would, because little girls can watch this and not know anything that's going on, but they're not being introduced to so like. And when I use adult, I mean like crude, but like crude humor. It's like this commentary type of humor on stuff that actually will affect them later on in life. Like the dentist cousin, she asked me how Barbie was, and she has 3 young daughters. So I was like, honestly, it's more adult than I was expecting, but it's still family. I was like, you could probably bring the 9-year-old because she'll at least have a good time and she'll at least be introduced to these ideas in a certain way, right? And like self-worth and how the world views you, and like, and also all of these women in the film that are all good role models. You know what I mean? I was like, but she will also laugh at the dumb jokes that are in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like it has that perfect mix. I really do.
yeah, it's not a kids movie in the sense of like a Pixar movie is a kids movie.
Yeah.
It's a movie that I would be comfortable bringing basically any age. Like if I was like, you know, if they're like, oh, okay, you're responsible for these people.
Mike, if there's a truckload of children dropped off on your porch.
Yeah, if there's a Lego box that's like ages 9 to 90, I'd bring them all to this damn movie.
Okay, that's a good analogy.
I was talking to a few friends
If
about
I had this school bus full of children that I currently stole from the middle school parking lot,
And it can't go under 55 miles an hour.
I would drive it straight into that theater.
I would comfortably show those children Barbie. All right. Anyway,
Now I want to
Liz,
see.
please help me.
You're
Speed the
Liz,
kids movie.
Liz, you're the main demo for this movie.
I
So,
am.
in spoilerific details, why don't you go ahead and tell us what you thought?
Oh my God, where to start? Oh my God. The first 20 minutes are like the most pink paradise that I could ever imagine. I thought it was hysterical that everything was like, no, there's no walls. There's nothing in these cups. Everything is actually just plastic. And that's like where I was entranced. Like he was like, I was bored the first 20 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I thought it was beautiful, wonderful. I thought I don't know what I don't even know like what else to go into, because like it was just, to me, I was like, this perfectly explains it. And just so you guys know, I actually was not allowed to have Barbies as a kid because my mom bought me a few, and all I did was wrap them in gauze because I wanted to be a vet when I was a kid, and then all I wanted was the clothes, and my mom was like, I'm not spending $50 on clothes you're not even going to put on the dolls that you just want to stare at the clothes. Which is so like when Ken is throwing her clothes out of the Mojo Dojo Casa house, and it's like they're like flying up in the air and telling you what they are. To me, I was like, you're right, not the palazzo pants. Do not throw the palazzo pants out of the house. Like those are to be worshipped. Like this was just.
So you made
good.
Weird Barbie.
I did make Weird Barbie.
Yeah.
Like
It's your fault.
Yeah, no, I would have definitely
She
had.
helps everybody.
Also,
yeah, I did have a Weird Barbie.
I want to see Kate McKinnon in a Cynthia.
That's
movie.
what I said. She looked like
Yeah.
Cynthia.
I need that. Thanks for that, Pat. I saw you queuing that up.
I know.
The moment that Liz said pink, I was like, what is he doing?
Yeah, we're pink like vaginas.
I will say
anyway.
I did get a compliment on my nails, which are like
Oh, yeah.
lightly
Great
Barbie
job.
themed. Yeah,
Great job.
Good for you.
Good for you.
thank you.
All right,
Pat.
but
You get 2 points.
so okay, yeah, Pink Paradise. What'd you think of the commentary though, as a woman yourself?
As a woman myself, I agreed with it because I've actually been told like in the corporate workplace that I say sorry too many times because I'm a woman, because I don't want to be too pushy and I, want to come off as nice and friendly. And
It
all
does
that
get
stuff.
under my skin that you apologize to me for just daily
Exactly,
interactions.
but that's what I was.
Stop apologizing.
I'm sorry she does that.
Guess what? Camera's not on you, so that got totally missed.
Hey, why don't you cut to me real
Probably,
Don't cut to
probably
him.
for the best.
quick?
One of these days, Liz.
Straight to the moon.
But yeah, so as a woman who's worked in a very women-centric retail space, and now I am like a customer-facing job in general, I get it. Like in retail, even though I was trying to sell people things, I worked at Victoria's Secret, so trying to sell bras and underwear to men. Oh, they're all Kens. You're all the amount of men.
And
that
this
are all
is the shit that I
Kens.
don't
I'm
like.
just Ken.
This movie just gave white girls license to be like, oh, men are just all Kens.
No.
No,
That's not what it did, and
No.
you stopped that.
No,
No, we could start it here.
No, I will say the amount of men that would come up to me and they'd try to shop for their girlfriend or wives or whoever, and I'd be like, okay, do you know what size she wears?
Yeah, she wears a bra.
They'd be like,
She
They're-
has two.
They're
So,
like
a two.
They're like a little bit bigger than my hands right here,
how about when they say,
and they probably come out to like here, yeah.
or how about
Yeah,
when
they're like
No,
hers,
no.
more not like your like hers.
Sir,
Yes.
please leave.
Oh no, that actually
God.
has happened to me. A man one time like looked me up and down and said, probably about your size, and I was like, good sir,
Nice.
not in my presence.
Not
or
in
they
my
just-
mojo dojo.
They would and they would say, oh, I
Don't
don't
die.
know, maybe a medium or a large. And I go, sir, you are going to buy her a medium, and if she needs to return it for a different size, then that's not on you, because it was just
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
yeah, it just like it put some really fun stuff into context. I mean, I thought it was hysterical, Ken's vision of the patriarchy just being trucks and horses.
That was so good. Him walking into the like corporate business center and then literally just like them being like, "What's up, dude? Hey, dude."
That-
He's like, "They respect me."
yes,
That
and
just ate me alive when you said that, sir. This is a Wendy's, like, because that's really the best way.
no, I.
But
would
going back to that guy who is shopping for lingerie, he'd be like, so
it's yeah, no, it's.
I don't know.
It was nice to live in an imagination where kind of the stereotypical gender roles are swapped for a good 30, 45 minutes.
I will
there.
say it made sense of that really misogynistic joke in the trailer where Ryan Gosling's character Ken is like, he's like, can I speak to a doctor? And he's like, you are talking to one. Yeah, okay. And he's like, oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Like that. I
He's
was
like, "Where's your white
And
coat?"
I remember being like, they put that in the fucking trailer. Like, okay. Like that's, you know what I mean? And I like this whole idea that he learns what the patriarchy is and brings it back to Barbie Land and just turns everything upside down.
The books he grabs at the library are like Men and War, and like War, they're so fucking funny.
Did you see that the two first representations of men in the patriarchy were Bill Clinton and Ronald Reagan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, she's
She gets it.
she's spoken.
Greta's a girl's girl, you know?
It's a girl's girl. She's a girl's girl.
You heard that too, right?
I hear it.
What was
You
that?
just turn the audio off?
But I
So
think
being that we're in spoilers
Yeah.
now, I just wanted to bring up like what I was saying earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So the story you think in the beginning revolves around Barbie dealing with like depression and like human emotions.
Yep.
And then it morphs into now Ken and all the Kens have taken over Barbie Land and made it terrible. Then it's Barbie is saving the relationship between a mother and a daughter. And then it's
But you also forgot, oh shit, we have to bring back Barbie because Barbie in the real world is bad.
Then the Mattel people are coming to get Barbie. So to like,
Why are they going back? Like they're the whole thing. The whole.
to me, like that's my big problem with it is so the Ken and the Kendom and all of that. I feel like should have been a sequel. This one should have been about like Barbie and her struggles and the mother and daughter. that's a really tight story right there.
Barbie's struggles were America Ferrera's, who we do need to bring up. She was fabulous.
she was great in that.
That is her struggles. That's the representation.
Which is
of
why
her
I think they need to be
struggles.
together.
And, yes.
Yeah.
But I think what they were getting at, why the Mattel execs go back, is because I don't know if you noticed, as we turned from Barbie Dream House to Ken's Mojo Jojo. Whatever. I'm sorry, I just slipped my mind. Those are what was selling on the trucks. So like they think they need to go back and fix it so that we go back to the status quo of Mattel and selling
Barbie
Barbies
because there is one guy who's like, oh, if it's selling, who gives a fuck? Just
Well, that's the whole thing. Yeah, it's like Barbie's feeling depressed because the woman who owned her a while back, she was being depressed. So there's that parallel, and Barbie has to fix it. She goes to the real world, and there's problems. And Barbie being in the real world causes a shift in everything, which happens. But it's
does Barbie cause the shift, or does Ken bringing back knowledge?
Technically, it's Ken bringing back knowledge, but it's the same thing as base. It's like self-fulfilling. It's like Barbie goes to the real world, and a shift is supposed to happen independently in the Barbie world.
Here's another question: was what Ken was doing in Barbie Land making the sales of the kingdom happen in the real world, or was that happening in the real world affecting Barbie Land? Like,
is Barbie Land like the microcosm little thingy?
Or is it like a Mobius strip where there's no real beginning?
I think
or
it's
end?
that.
Well,
that's a great take.
See, here's the thing. I didn't even think about that, because the scene at the end of the film where she asks her mother if she can become a real person. For a split second, I remember thinking, and I remember it. I was sitting there going, "How could?" I was like, "Nope, we're not even gonna open up that can. That ain't the movie for this. Like, it does not care, and it's not. It doesn't matter.
It's better to just let it happen.
Let you know that it does not give a shit about the logic of how this all works.
No, yeah, they're like you're throwing.
That's why I was just like, I do not care. Fuck that. Like, it's not meant to be taken like that.
I did like the Matrix. I'm gonna call it a Matrix call out, where like she walks into the kitchen and she finds them, the Ruth who made all the Barbies.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, this feels like the Matrix. I was like, she's gonna get a spoon and they're gonna make a joke about it. Like,
I died at the fucking Snyder call out. That was awesome.
And here's the thing,
joke happened. You knew who the true fucking people who like movies were, because there was only like six of us that laughed. I was like, oh my god, they fucking brought that up.
I was walking out to go use the bathroom, and as I was rounding the corner to the hallway, that joke happened. I'm like, I'm so glad I caught that. That was fucking so funny.
I was like, this script is written fantastically, dialogue wise. Story wise, not
like
great.
Cringe, yeah.
No.
So yeah, I don't have too much more to say about Barbie.
We
need to close us out here on Barbie.
We need to talk about Will Ferrell's character.
Yes, we do.
We do.
That whole arc
with spoken a whole lot.
He
about
said the
Alan
funniest
either.
line in the movie.
I know he said the funniest line in the whole movie, but this is what I was talking about as the villain before. I was like, his entire arc could have been cut out.
Yeah,
like there did not need to be any like it could have served its purpose as it being an all-male board of Barbie. That was the joke.
Yeah.
And that's the only joke you needed with it. And then Will Ferrell to say,
I don't want to be that guy, but I did look up like the Mattel, like I was just doing my research.
You went onto their About Us page.
I was just doing some light research.
Who's on that leadership?
There is 6 women on the board of Mattel.
How large is the board?
I think there's like 12 members.
Yeah, it's not. It's not about Mattel directly.
I don't think
it's
supposed to be a direct line.
It's just an allegory for
exactly
the thing where it's like, lawmakers who are all men are making things about women.
Yes, because there's the whole joke where Ken is in the lobby and he's saying, the guy's like, well, do you have an MBA or a PhD? And he's like, no.
Do you have a public display of affection?
And then he's like, so you hire women? And he's like, well, we're just better at hiding it.
He's like, so the patriarchy's not working. He's like, it is. We're just good at hiding it.
Yeah. So I thought it was funny how she goes in there and she's like, CFO, and a guy raises his hands. Head of the Barbie division, and a guy raises his hand. And she's like, what? And Will Ferrell's like, well, we had a woman CEO in 1990 and one other time, so that makes 2.
Yeah. That was good. That was funny.
I love when he called her a Jezebel.
Yeah.
That
and he's like, can you not
funniest.
call her a Jezebel anymore?
That felt like improv.
Line in the, like, what did he say to her? He said
like,
something about,
Because she wanted to get in the box.
You sweet Jezebel, or something like that. And then he said something about like three of them were Jewish or something like. Like when I heard those, I was like, Will Ferrell improv, for sure. I was like, that's what I came here for. And then I feel like, everything else was like his normal antics of like, and then I just don't feel like he was ever utilized at all. I was like, how did you get him in this? And then you're not even going to use him as much as you like. Don't get me wrong. Will Ferrell can be too much, but this was a capacity in which if you gave him the right set of rules, he would not have been too much, he could have overdone it, and then you could have cut some stuff out.
And I feel like
there was no attempt.
I think they did cut a bunch out with them because their whole storyline felt very jagged and random, and there were points where I forgot about them and that they were coming in, and then I was like, oh, you know how like movies do that thing where they like just don't bring them up for a while, they don't bring up the villain or they don't bring up like the bad thing, and then it comes back up and you're like, oh, yeah, I thought they were going to do that here.
Suspense,
yeah,
making you forget.
That's how I felt when they got back to he shows up in Barbie Land. I was like, oh right, Will Ferrell's in this. I almost wish they would have kept them too, just like boardroom execs, and all they cared about was making money. Because I feel like Ken and Barbie had such good arcs. Like they both individually had their own storylines where they need to like learn about themselves as individuals. Barbie's was like very confusing and emotional, and Ken's was just this like patriarchy rant where he kind of learns like, oh, I was like way too far into Barbie and now I'm way too far on the other side and I need to find this happy medium. But Will Ferrell goes from boardroom exec to I care about little girls and their dreams, but not in a creepy way. And I'm like,
that was funny too.
That was a really funny line, but I'm like, how did we get there? Like America Ferrera's speech, like just did that for you. Like, what happened from the time you left Venice Beach and you got to Barbie Land? Where did we get?
I'm glad that I do this because you guys introduced me to new perspectives, and it's like, yeah, this was really messy, but it's just like, but how did I feel?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's that's why I gave it a higher rating. I was like, it's messy, but it's also kind of like, I don't care. Like, it can be messy.
This is empty calories, ultimately.
Yes,
yeah.
But and like, it's
a good cold Schlitz on a warm summer day.
I was good. It's not a cold shit on a summer day.
I said Schlitz.
I think it's like a pint of Ben and Jerry's. You're like, this is great. I'm gonna eat the whole damn thing on a hot summer day.
Like, you know when you should be drinking water.
All right, that's the call out. So do we have anything else for Barbie?
What was the funniest joke you said in the whole movie?
The funniest line in the movie was the Jezebel thing.
Yeah.
You thought that was the funniest
I thought that was the funniest line, the delivery of it, not necessarily like the creativity. I like Will Ferrell, like whatever.
I thought
he was good.
I think the Zack Snyder line is the best.
I mean, that was good.
That was
too.
the best for our demographic.
Yeah. Well, for who? No. It's not a demographic.
That was the best for the four people in the theater who understood.
It was for somebody at Warner Brothers was like, we got to get this in there, and like they know, we know, like the sane people know. It's like they thank you.
I do want to one last tiny little thing to wrap it up. I thought was a great red thread throughout it. Throughout the movie, they use less makeup on Margot Robbie progressively throughout it until she becomes, more like understanding of what, like her role and everything. I thought that was
Pinocchio.
Until she becomes Pinocchio and has a big nose. But
no, because Nick, that kind of ties into the very last line of the movie. I'm here to see a gynecologist. And
that was so fucking
just like Pinocchio.
I need you guys to understand there's a time in every girl's life where somebody comes up to you and goes, you need to see a gynecologist. And you're like, what the fuck? And you are not prepared for what happens the first time you step into an office.
Yeah.
I think that was the best button to end that movie.
It was very much like, I am Iron Man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's exactly what it was like, you know?
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yes, because there is a great meme of pictures of Margot Robbie in that outfit, just like walking down the street, and the caption just says, you have no idea where this scene is going. And it was perfect.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that,
I let her have her way.
so
Speaking of that bomb,
should we transition? Should we transition here to what we've really all been looking forward to this time?
Paw Patrol.
Speak for yourself.
I am okay. I speak for the men in this room. Okay. This is the boys' movie.
Yeah,
I
Liz
speak
is-
for
you
the
wanna-
trees.
You want to get Liz's dad in here? I feel. Did he see it? Did he,
He
go
did
see
not
it?
see it. I don't think he'd see this. He would never sit through it.
Yeah, it's
He
too
can't.
long.
It's too long.
But it's
Yeah.
about history.
It
His
doesn't
prostate,
matter.
man.
And it's a little
too long.
it's a little bit like, you know, American heroism.
I
Just
think-
so.
saying,
I
you're
think-
you're stirring up the dragon over there.
He's fine. He's fine.
He's getting in killing
Do
position.
whatever you do. If you touch his stomach,
Touch the bean.
Oh,
Dude,
it's just
if you
touching the
touch
beans.
stomach, bro, it's over. It's over. It's worse as he knows. I'm like, you're cute, and I want to pet the shit out of
It
you right
looks
now.
soft.
God,
God
damn it, it looks soft. All right, anyway.
oh, he's doing it. He's doing
Yeah,
it.
he's asked. This is
Oh.
pre-attack mode, ladies and
Oh, he's
gentlemen.
getting ready.
Yeah. Yeah, he's trying to lure you in. Nick, pay no mind to him. Look this way. Look this way. All right, so
The sirens call.
so yeah. All right, so Oppenheimer. I saw this today, and I was fresh off a migraine. I had that rawness in your ear canal that you have, and boy, that was hard.
You felt like Cillian Murphy eating one almond a day.
I did. Did he do that?
Yeah,
Or
that was his diet.
Florence Pugh said he ate like one almond a
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
He might have had two.
So I saw this morning. Originally, like I said before, we were supposed to go in the city to the 70 millimeter, but we had something come up. And
But the theater burned down.
that's right. And then there's these issues with the 70 millimeter. And then look, I'm sure it looks beautiful in 70 millimeter.
His beautiful blue eyes.
You don't need to see this movie in 70 millimeter. I'm sure it looks wonderful. However, I have seen one other time that Chris Nolan did 70 millimeter. Not the one other time, but one of his earliest implementations of it. It was The Dark Knight Rises, and this was back when you saw an IMAX movie, you had to go to a legit IMAX theater. There wasn't just one in every AMC. And when the movie was playing, everything that wasn't shot in IMAX had two big black bars on a giant fucking screen that was 35 millimeter. But when it switched over to IMAX, the full fucking wall was the movie screen, and it was the loudest and most intense movie I had seen up until that point. It was fucking insane. And thankfully, because they shot most of that movie in IMAX, it was only the dialogue scenes.
Couple things, yeah.
So
The boring shit.
So, but even then, that's the boring
The
shit.
skippable
The
scenes.
shit that you don't need to fucking put on an IMAX camera. You know what I mean? Either way, though, just generally, I went into this and I was like, Christopher. I'm a little biased here. Christopher Nolan's my favorite filmmaker of all time. I think his movies vary in quality, but I think they're all at least baseline good. You'll have a good time watching them regardless. Magnum opus, I don't know yet. I feel like that's yet to
needs
be
time.
seen. However, this
You're
is
very confident, Mike.
however,
Mike's giving a stinky face.
God damn, that is this. yeah,
Yeah,
dude,
Mike's
that-
going
that-
full stank.
That's a filthy solo. Oh no.
He's out of this world.
Oh, whoa. God damn, that was fucking
Oh, that was tasty.
stank was rank.
So
And the room was pank. Anyway.
somebody edit that so Mike's actually playing
I'll
fucking
talk to
organ.
Mark.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, Magnum Opus, I don't know yet. That being said, it's certainly up there. It's one of his better movies.
Mike, if you're so confident that this is not anywhere near his best movie, what do you think is a contender?
Well, I think we get to that later, right? You have that bit planned.
Yeah,
We'll talk about
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. And just like I said, just non-spoilers. I think that this is one of the best written movies I've ever seen. This movie doesn't have a single real action sequence in it, and yet is one of the most visually stunning films I've seen in my life.
Incredibly tense.
Somehow incredibly tense.
For that, it's the music, which
Yeah.
we'll get into. The score of this film held the entire tension of it.
And the other thing was that for the first hour or so, I was like, I can't believe this is a Chris Nolan movie. I was like, this is not even close to what I imagined. It looked like one. It was edited like one. It was it had all. It was just something I'd never seen him do before. Just dramatic dialogue and character scenes and everything. And then when it got to Act 2, when it was like, let's get ready to build this fucking bomb, which, spoilers, they build the bomb. I said to Liz in the theater, I was like, this feels like Christopher Nolan now. When they, when
they're into like the,
okay, so here's how I described it. I have been in many situations when doing a show or when we played in bands in college or when we threw shows together. We've worked on multiple creative projects, right? And it's always somebody's trying to see something out and we're always there to help each other out. That's how it always was, right? How successful it was limited based upon a number of factors. But
how many people were puking in the driveway?
Yeah. Oh, wow. What a throwback. But like my point is that it gave me that sense of when it felt like Inception when Cobb gets everybody together and like he's calling stuff out and then like it would cut to the next thing that they're working
flow
on.
state.
Yeah, exactly.
Film, yeah.
That's what it felt like. It felt like a group of people, qualified people who got together and got in a flow state, and like Chris Nolan knows how to do flow state really well. And I was like, oh shit, like I have felt this. I know what they're going through, that type of thing. Or at least I felt probably what they're feeling. It wasn't until the morality complex of what they were building started to play in that it started to become way more detached from what you would feel like. And then you're on this fucking wild ride.
Then it's like a legal drama.
Yeah,
like,
and like here, but all of it is amazing. You know what I mean? And and like the thing is like, you guys ever see Walk the Line?
Yeah.
Okay, you know how that
thinking
movie
I'd like
ends?
to try me some of that cocaine.
Exactly. That's pretty much how it ends. Like they just walk off into the sunset pretty much.
They walk the line.
Yeah, and then he dies whenever the fuck. And then I'm trying to think of, there's other movies where basically like it's just a character story and then it's like their death or like this was presented like a summer blockbuster, but it's like a fucking Lawrence of Arabia type of epic character saga about this person's life and the influence that they not only had on the people around them, but the world at large and how they changed history. This is a very old school movie, but shot with technology and the sensibilities of Christopher Nolan. And it is fucking awesome. As soon as it was over, I was like, that was fucking incredible. Like, that's something that, like, out of all the Chris Nolan movies, when I have kids, I'll be like, you motherfuckers ain't seen shit until you've seen Oppenheimer. You know what I mean? Magnum opus, like I said.
Oh, you better watch out. Mike's going to start making a stank face again.
Oh, no, he's got the organ.
Oh, the bass solo.
Oh, no. It's just an E note. So,
You have disturbed.
dude, you fucking, the bass solo woke up Nico,
Hey,
bro.
it's the subs.
It's a podcast cat, everyone. Podcat.
Podcast.
It's like the bodega cat.
Podcat.
Yeah.
I want to pet him.
Can I do my piece on
No,
this-
Nick
this-
has to touch a bee
Okay.
first.
touch? Touch.
You may, so yeah.
I agree with like all of what you said. I fully agree with. I have to massively call out two things that made this movie fantastic for me was
Florence Pugh's
Pugh's left tit. No, I'm kidding, but
And the right one.
and the right one. The acting by everyone in this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Every single person. I mean, Robert Downey Jr.'s character his acting job is fucking out of this world.
He did a real paint job.
He did a real paint job all over this.
Han Solo was good too.
Yeah.
Not
He
everybody.
went toe to toe with RDJ in dialogue scenes, and I don't think he just held it on. I think he matched the energy.
He
I was
clapped
like,
back, yeah.
Holy shit!
that last scene that he's in, we can talk about it. He really shined in that one.
And then we'll get into the acting and everything.
Yeah.
The use of silence and kind of like split perspective from the internal like perspective of Oppenheimer and all of like a lot of the open space.
Well, we should specify real quick. So this movie has black and white sections and full color sections. And Christopher Nolan said the black and white sections are things that they know that happened and that they could trace back with fact. Hence why it is black and white. These things really happened.
Yeah.
The color stuff is the more
It's the
embellished
dramatization, yeah.
sides of his life.
Dramatized,
Yeah.
The biggest issue I had with this movie, and it's it's stupid because I feel like I was like, yes, this was based off a book, right? I'm like, this was off of that.
Actually, it's funny that you bring that up because you know where you got the book from? When they finished shooting Tenet, Robert Pattinson gave him American Prometheus. Is that what it's called?
I think it's called that. Yeah,
And,
that would make sense because they do all the Prometheus.
It's a book of whatever his name is, Oppenheimer's speeches. And when he finished reading it, he's like, I read that cover to cover and was like, I knew I had to make this movie.
Yeah.
So,
but
shout out to Batman again.
Shout out. The framing device through which they tell this story and which Robert Downey Jr.'s character serves as a role.
Yeah.
For me, not because I didn't want to like look up too much about this or do anything. Like I felt that was so extraneous and wasn't really.
You didn't like the framing device?
I thought it was weird because it felt like it didn't affect anything about Oppenheimer's life. And it's just him being told about because it's
wait, well, I'm sorry. This would probably make more sense in spoilers. I don't want you to bring it back up again because I do want to get into this. But just on a surface level, I heavily disagree with you.
Which is totally fine. I really didn't like the device at which Robert Downey Jr.'s character is.
I think we should, like Pat said,
we will.
I want to explore this deeper and see if we can,
that would be great if you can. But what I loved about it was the more actual like linear storytelling elements of.
Well, like, it's a Nolan movie.
I don't even know if you could call this.
I don't want to say but the linear through line of Oppenheimer's life, that story I liked a lot better rather than incorporating what they did with the Robert Downey Jr. stuff.
Watch the organ.
Oh, sorry, I'll turn it off.
Yeah.
But to me that felt like I was like shit. Like I wish it was, and we'll go into it more. I wish it had a better like connection for me because Robert Downey Jr.'s performance was insane, and it felt to me. I was like, it's not like this isn't touching emotionally where it needs to be touching for me. And I feel that whole performance he did, I was just like, fuck, that could have been like such a good performance elsewhere or something.
I think this would really benefit from a second viewing or as many as you'd like to do after it, because going into it not knowing what the repercussions of just what Oppenheimer says has, like the effect that it has after this project is over, the Manhattan Project and the Trinity tests, so much of the movie you don't realize like how much of the story focuses
that
on
contextualizes
retrospect.
Yes.
You find out like I started viewing the movie from a different angle. I won't tell you here in non-spoilers, but a character said something like, "You're no longer a this, you're a this."
Yeah.
As soon as that happened, I was like, that is a Chris Nolan tell if I've ever heard
and
one.
It could have been just that I wanted to be spoon-fed a little bit more about some information.
It definitely made you work for it.
Yeah, and it
got away from me at one point because I asked her at one point, I was like, "Look, it's getting ahead of me. What's happening right now?"
There's one point I was like, I really thought Josh Peck was Vaseline face.
I thought so too. We all thought so.
I was so
they look too much alike.
upset that he was not utilized
He looks like
more.
he looks like the cousin that got stung by a bee.
Yeah.
But everything else outside of it, and I think absolutely great point. Like from a second watch, I would have an entirely different opinion on it. I felt like parts of it did run away from me though.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a 3-hour political drama, and it's breakneck
Super
speed.
political, yeah.
It is fast.
The way I've been describing it is like this movie is a runaway train. It like the whole motif of the stomping. It sounds like a train, just like like the train in fucking Mission Impossible. You ain't stopping that motherfucker.
It reminded me of the Inception train too. You know what I mean? There's always some sort of like overlap in imagery in all of Christopher Nolan's films that represents something about the character. And in this particular sense, Inception, obviously that's a more literal sense because the whole fucking like train bit, they throw themselves on the train. And then, and this movie with the train tracks, like something getting away from them. You know what I mean? Something that they've created is now getting out of hand. It's out of control.
Yeah.
And like I said, I loved that because it's never like, there ain't no like, It's not like Jurassic
you can't-
Park 2 where they're screaming and it cuts to a subway shrieking or something. You know what I mean?
Well,
like this is
You can't put the genie back in the bottle.
exactly, exactly, and that's what I felt. Liz, what'd you think of this movie?
I thought it was good. I don't know if anybody else saw this. I saw a promo. I probably saw it on TikTok. That's where I see a lot of my movie information. That when this was written, it was written from Oppenheimer's point of view. So all the acting was done around Cillian Murphy. So it was like he does this and then your character does this. So it was written like he moves towards the window and then, whoever is in the room with him, follows. Like da 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 da.
Florence Pugh puts it back in.
She do.
Yo, it's in the movie.
I
okay?
know, but
like it's like Christopher Nolan had to talk to an intimacy coordinator saying,
was that color or black and white?
That was absolutely color, boy.
We saw it twice.
We did.
I was like, yeah.
we
puts his sunglasses.
we do need to bring up during spoilers during the interview.
He was like,
when they do the
Yes,
callback
yes.
to that.
Amazing.
Oh God, that was so good.
he was like, so, all right. So
Can
yeah, but keep
Liz.
going about
Can
the
I-
script.
yeah, okay,
Yes,
So after hearing that about
it's
the
written from the
script-
first person, is what you
Yes,
mean to say.
yes.
So he's dreaming.
Yeah, he was
about committing war crimes because that's what he is.
He's
Pulling
a
an
domestic
Oppenheimer.
terrorist.
No, he's actually.
We are all domestic terrorists.
He's if we're comparing him to anyone in the movie, he's the RDJ.
He
of this
is the
household.
RDJ of this household.
Yeah.
It's
You think he's a good guy, but he's
not a good guy. Which, what a turn. It's like, we need a villain for the third
Great,
What
act.
a-
great twist.
Okay, hold on.
What a
Wait, wait,
spoiler.
yeah. So,
It's
okay, hold on.
Anyway,
it's history.
So yes,
Yeah.
so I did enjoy
And he's
after
a
learning
politician.
after learning that, I feel like I had a really good perspective going into the movie, which I enjoyed. I felt it was good. I thought the pacing was fine. Everything was good. But my God, everyone had such a complicated last name. And I get its history.
These are real people with
I
real
know,
last names.
and they were just throwing them out there. And I'm like, I can't always keep up with what these
Heisenberg.
people are named. That was it.
all
that
the,
was I
all the
remember
Breaking
that.
Bad
Yeah.
fans were like, Walt? Walt? If this is a Quentin Tarantino movie, there was a possibility of that happening. But
No, the Quentin Tarantino movie was Barbie because we saw so much feet.
yeah.
That was
all right.
But
so
overall, I really enjoyed it. I didn't find myself really checking my phone or anything like that.
you weren't watching the TikTok live girl. Gang, gang,
Pinky
gang,
doll?
gang.
ice cream's so good. Ice cream's so good.
Ooh, no spicy.
Get that.
Just so you guys know, she's going to Hollywood to do some acting.
She's making a lot of money.
Making $7,000.
She's a scab.
No, she is. Yeah, it's very possible
Making
that she will be a
$7,000.
scab.
So she'll never be able to join the union.
Well, she don't
I
need
don't think
it.
she cares.
Okay.
Yeah.
all right.
Did you talk about what you thought about the movie?
I kind of
Anything to
give me your-
non-spoiler?
I give it a 10 out of 10. I just I have no critiques. It was incredible. Yes, it did. There were times where I was kind of like, this is a lot, but I give it leeway because it's a historical drama and we're cramming a lot of history into 3 hours. And it just, all the performances were incredible. Music was incredible. The writing, directing, there was not a single thing I could say I didn't like about it. I sat there and held my bladder for the last hour. I was like, I'm not walking out of this theater.
Yeah, when we got to the hour mark, I had to piss. And
did
then
have to
just
pee,
held it.
yeah.
I got so bad that when I stood up, my wiener hurt a little bit. I was
That's
like,
okay.
"Ah," and then I went to
You
the
can tell the
bathroom.
fans.
Yeah.
My wiener hurt.
Well, I was gonna say
my pee-pee
I
hurt.
was literally. I was gonna say something else, but how come whenever I try to clean it up, you give me shit anyway? This happened when I said schlong too, and you were like, "Well, I don't think schlong is meeting the halfway point."
Yeah, schlong is vile.
I was just laughing because my wiener hurt was funny. I'm not critiquing.
Sorry, I'm a little sensitive. Okay?
My wiener
So
hurt.
is your wiener.
Yeah. Frenulum. All right, so
What are you giving it? Or do you want to ponder?
no. I'm gonna. Here's what I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna
What's
give it.
left to ponder, bro?
I'm giving it a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
And the reason for that is because
it made my pee-pee hurt.
Christopher Nolan needs to learn how to mix dialogue. I missed the first, I want to say, 2 minutes of the movie's dialogue because I couldn't
It
understand
was in German,
a
Pat.
fucking word they were saying.
It was in German.
No, it wasn't.
I know.
I was like, don't you try to gaslight me right now. Fuck, was it in German?
Like, ich bin ein Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
The fuck's he saying?
yeah. No. I couldn't understand a fucking word they were saying. Like, RDJ's talking to Alden Ehrenreich. I'm like, I don't even know what they're saying right now because the music is so fucking loud.
That's the thing is, you say he's got to learn, but he's doing it on purpose. It's like it's not even like it's a character. It's
Got to
a
learn, and he just bought the fucking Blu-rays
it's not
for
like
the
it's not like
4Ks
it's a
for the
fault.
others.
He's doing it on purpose for some reason.
I don't understand it. And like the thing is so when they did Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, right? They did like if you went and saw Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol in IMAX, the first 5 minutes of The Dark Knight Rises playing like the plane heist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people complained after seeing that, being like, you can't understand a fucking word Bane is saying. So they made him re-record all the dialogue for Bane later on, and Bane sounds
They
significant.
didn't even ADR it. It's just underneath the mask audio.
Well, that's what it was.
Really?
It really was
Wow.
that. It was on-set audio. So then they ADR'd everything again. And it might have even been the case that they just put out a version that wasn't done yet. For years, guys, there's been one line in that movie I never knew what it meant until one day somebody had the movie on with subtitles and the part was coming up.
It was actually Michael Caine, surprisingly.
You know the part where he's like, and this gives you power over me, and he's like, I'm Gotham's Reckoning, and then he said something else for years. I was like, what the fuck did he even say? He says, I'm here to end the borrowed time you've all been living on, like that.
Oh, I've never heard that
For
line in that
years,
movie.
I have heard, I'm here to end the ball of, and then
Ball of yarn.
yeah,
The ball of yarn you've been knitting with.
yeah. It's time.
That's like, it's a weird metaphor,
Yeah.
but okay, go off, Bane.
So,
I had given this initially, and you're gonna yell at me, but I'm gonna also take it back now. I had given this.
Take it back now, y'all.
So I'll contextualize it first. Coming out of it and being like, I don't know why I was mad from the Robert Downey Jr. stuff from what I've already explained. And I was just a little bit frustrated. And I was just kind of like, why was that there? I was like, why was it like this? I liked this part of that. And I'm really mad because he fucking killed it. And it seemingly is not important, but we've fixed this. I had given it a 7 in my head, which
shit.
again, like, and now I'd probably, I'm going to leave it with my Barbie 8.5.
Okay.
okay. Okay.
But only because of you saying like it warrants a second watch, and I think that makes a really good movie if it warrants a second watch. Not from a confusing standpoint.
I would
but
like, obviously, not that I want you to go out and watch it again in
I
theater.
want to see it in IMAX. I didn't get to.
So when you do it, I'd love for you to actually come back and give us your perspective.
Do Liz?
Do.
I'm gonna give it a 9.5 again.
Okay.
I'm gonna say
Liz
that.
gave it a higher score than I did.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
fucking shocked.
I actually didn't.
You're taking a full point off for the
Yes,
audio in the
this-
first
okay,
scene.
All right. So
I didn't have a problem with the music.
every single one of his
The
movies
music or
is like
the
that.
dialogue?
Can't fucking hear
Not you,
anything.
Liz.
You're really getting schlonged.
I did not. There was a scene, and I wish I could remember better what was happening, but there was a scene where there was violins playing in the background. And can I tell you, I did not notice those violins until like halfway through the scene. And I was
early in the movie?
no, I know what you're talking
No,
about.
it was like
There was
halfway
this
through.
scene. It's like
Yeah, it
it's
was
not.
about-
It's not. Can you write music? It's can you hear it? And then the violins
Yes.
come in.
I think it's after that. I obviously would have to rewatch this movie to tell you specifics about every single scene. There's so much going on. But I was sitting there and I go, that music was so good in that scene. I didn't even realize it was happening, and that's how much I was enjoying that.
That's
scene.
the best type of film
Music,
score.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
this score is 12 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like,
Was it Ludwig Göransson?
yeah.
I really just assumed it was going to be Hans Zimmer.
They haven't worked together in quite some time, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the last thing they did together?
Dunkirk,
That's not that long ago.
27.
What has he done? What has he
2017.
done in between?
Tenet and
Well, Tenet. Yeah, that movie was lame.
and this.
And this.
Yeah, so
That's
there's
two
one,
films.
There was between. There
Oh,
was
in
only
between,
one
yeah.
movie.
What was the other?
Who did this score for Tenet? Also Ludwig Göransson.
I think so. Yeah.
He does everything.
He did Childish Gambino's first first album, right?
Wait,
Not first,
not
but
first album, but Awaken My Love.
yeah. No, he did the other one too. I think he did the.
That's the first time I became aware of him, so maybe he did.
Oh, it's backwards. I was wondering what fucking song did Childish Gambino write for Oppenheimer, because I saw the tweets. It was like, what a musical leap, and it's Childish Gambino.
Produced.
I was like, what? He did music on this? But I was
You're like, oh, he was on
I was
Oppenheimer.
like, what the fuck?
It's like Oppenheimer
Damn.
dropping the Barbenheimer.
Somebody edit that to put a beat under that.
Link is just fucking writing hits for days
Hey
over
man,
there.
I'm in the zone.
There was and then like I said,
Flow state.
So the one thing I wanted to mention was just like I said, it's just the negative sound mixing, and I'll get into it in spoilers.
You're gonna take
But-
a whole point off for that.
Yeah, I
One
am.
whole point.
Yes, I am.
He's
Not
not gonna
half a
change.
point?
He's not gonna change it. Don't worry.
Yeah. I really thought this was gonna run the board, this movie, but
Who
It did
run the
not.
board?
I mean, it's
how did I wind up giving it the highest score
It's still
versus
got a
like the
9.
biggest Nolan fan that I know?
I mean, well, here, like I said, dude, it's in every
The
fucking
2 minutes
movie.
of dialogue that I couldn't
It's in
understand.
every movie. Well, no, that and
know,
there's
I know,
other
buddy.
parts of the movie that's fucking hard to hear what's going on too. And I'm not the only person who says it.
Those stamping feet were too loud.
That didn't bother me. It's just the dialogue's too low. That's the problem.
I did actively think at this movie. I was like, oh, this is like if I watch this at home, it's gonna be a shit show. Like
Yeah.
trying to.
You're gonna be
You guys,
volume up,
all right.
volume down.
So you guys really want to laugh?
No.
Liz and I watched this. I heard that the Tenet mix was awful. I was like, damn, okay. I was like, I hadn't seen I hadn't seen anything from it. So Liz and I watched the whole fucking movie, and I'm like, wow, this sound mix is fucking. And I mean, like, the dialogue was inaudible,
Tenet.
inaudible, right? Yeah, but the music was still good. All the background. I was like, I don't get why he mixed the audio to be pretty much inaudible.
We
right?
thought it was like some sort of
like
thing he was
creative
doing.
he was
Yeah.
doing, right? And it was to the point where like you could hear it very low in the mix, right? But like it was just it just wasn't pronounced. Like you couldn't hear it at all. I was like, this is what people were. I was like, all right, well, and like even then, like I went to fucking Reddit and to the subreddit, and I'm pretty sure the review's still there. And I was just like, hey, so I finally watched this movie. I was like, I totally get what everyone was talking about the sound. It's fucking awful. How could they have released this like this? Liz's parents watched a concert on the TV the night
It
before
sounded better.
and switched the fucking
The
settings
preset.
to emphasize
Music or whatever?
Yeah.
So then Joe and Dan come over to watch it, and I was like, I'll watch it a second time. And I go, hey, and I hit this, and we start watching it, and the dialogue is fine.
I'll
I
tell
was
you
like,
right now, it
oh.
did not change my opinion of that movie though.
Yeah, it's still pretty mid.
I mean, it's still pretty mid.
Would you rank that as probably your least favorite Nolan movie?
It's certainly down there.
Because I haven't seen all of his
You
movies,
know what?
but it's low.
I'm revising mine. I'm taking a point off because they put 50-star flags in it.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
All
don't
right.
know. I don't know. I looked at those flags really closely when they came up, and
It's
they're
the- you
spaced out.
You can
They're
just
But
you can
can
tell
ju-
by the pattern, just whatever the sequence is. You can tell.
All right.
19.
Okay.
okay.
That seems like a big oversight by the props department.
Then was it a joke that I saw as what Christopher Nolan justified it as? Was that a joke?
What do you
I didn't hear
say?
it.
It was to represent all of the other like American territories and other things. Like
Oh, I don't know. I don't care.
I was like
All right.
I think it has to be a joke. I don't know if he actually
it's just
said
a
that.
mistake. I think it's just a mistake.
It'll be edited out.
So, all right.
But Mike,
so
there's no special effect shots in this
That's
entire
not what he
movie.
said. There's
He's-
no CGI.
He's going into the
know,
theaters
I was
and
joking.
Okay,
cutting
sorry.
the like
God damn it,
11
I'm-
miles of
I'm so
thing and then
I'm
like
so off
Yeah,
the-
the 70 millimeter.
All right. All right. So
All right,
let's
get these men some scissors.
let's talk about box office. Domestically, 80 million. Nolan's highest.
And it's way outpaced the expectations.
International 94. This took in 175 worldwide. The budget on this is about 100 million. So they fucking knocked it out of the park.
They gone and done it.
They gone and done it. Not as much as Barbie, but like we said, we expected that.
Yeah. This was never going to be anywhere near Barbie.
Yeah. What was fun for me is that this was the one I was waiting to see for so long, especially hearing all the good things and everything. And like obviously I couldn't get to it like early, so it was one of those things where it's like it reminded me of like when we were in college and you could only go see the new movie on the Sunday. You know, when you're hungover.
Yeah.
And you're just like, and it reminded me of like when we went and saw Batman vs Superman at like
knew you were gonna bring
11:30
that
in the
up.
morning. It was one of the
stop at Bagel Guys on the way.
exactly. And like I'm just sitting there and I'm like, it's so early. Like, you know what I mean? To see this fucking movie, you know? It just felt like one of the another thing was that like when I was in there, I was like, I'm going in this with like summer blockbuster vibes, right? But like also this is totally a movie that drops in November or December. This movie I think is also propelled by Christopher Nolan's reputation, and that this is his weekend that he puts movies out on, because normally he puts out these big, like, they're big ideas, but they're shot and edited to be family friendly, like PG-13, giant action, like mind-bending puzzle films that
When you
everybody
say family
loves.
friendly, you mean like just accessible.
Family accessible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I can, like you could take your kids, like
You could take a bus full of children and go take them to this movie.
but like this, despite the fact that it's rated R, I wouldn't bring a kid to this even if it was PG-13. You know what I mean? Because like
They wouldn't watch it.
no,
Yeah,
no,
they'd
no.
hate
I wouldn't even bring a teenager to this.
They
you know
wouldn't
what I mean?
watch it.
Exactly.
They're not going
but
to history
A teenager
class.
would watch every single one of Christopher Nolan's other movies though, because they're like, you know, since he started doing studio stuff, they're big bombastic action films. You know what I mean? So
My 15-year-old cousin did tell me today, directly to my face in this house, that he wants to see Oppenheimer over Barbie.
He wants to see it for 2 reasons.
4, because you see him twice.
I don't know. I wasn't going to ask him about that. That would be...
All right, so
Pat, that's your job.
should we dive into spoilers?
Hey, come
Yeah,
here,
I'm
come
ready.
Here, kid.
All
Come
right,
here,
let's
kid.
dive into spoilers. All right, I'll say this right now.
Hey kid, get on this bus.
The way that this story is told is hilarious because it's the exact move that they use in the end of Tenet. The temporal pincer, where it's like some shit's going on in forwards, some shit's going on from the end back, and like it all kind of meets in the middle type of thing, and then they go their step. This is
And never again the twain shall meet.
this is kind of what that was like, is that it gives you information in the beginning, it gives you information at the end, and all the context is in the middle, and it's up to you to fill it all out. And
I can't wait till Reddit does a cut of this that's just chronological.
yeah.
Michael like that.
I will like that.
Then
I can turn it off at the last half hour.
I'm just gonna go ahead and start with performances. Cillian Murphy is
Jesus Christ.
unbelievable in this. He is on another level, and it's funny because it's one of those things where he's always been really super talented. He's had big parts in Christopher Nolan films all through the time, but he's never been a leading man, and I don't think he'll ever be, unless Christopher Nolan asks him. I don't think he'll ever be anything less than a leading man now.
I don't know. I could see him just like, I think he probably enjoys just whatever role.
I mean, yeah,
I
don't
know
get me
if he
wrong,
needs to be
but I
the
mean,
leading
he's
man.
very much a Daniel Day-Lewis type of
Yes.
actor.
Yes, 100%.
He's
That's
not
a
an action
good
star.
analogy.
He's not a comedy guy. He is going to be pitched these big, dramatic biopics for the rest of his career, and he's going to kill it. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
Like
You
that's
want
what
to know another parallel that I think is interesting with movies that are coming out recently?
left titty, right titty?
Yes, I love those parallels.
Okay.
We're a little
Not so parallel, but
asymmetric.
Avocado.
recently
okay, none
saw.
of them
I
are
know. We're all
symmetrical.
being mean.
You're being
I recently
terrible.
saw Wes Anderson's Asteroid City.
I recently saw Wes Anderson's ass. That's what you said first.
You gotta cut it there. Well, no, because you said
That's a
ass.
clip.
Yeah, Asteroid City.
So we got out of the movie, and I was talking to somebody, and they were like, "I'm glad that Jason Schwartzman finally went from supporting player in Wes Anderson's movies to leading man, because he was just phenomenal and he deserves it." I feel like it's the same thing with Cillian Murphy, where it's just like he's been playing, supporting role this whole time and was waiting for this
Listen,
moment where he just
you're
nobody else could have done
You're
this.
absolutely. This is almost like, you know what this is exactly like?
Yeah, Jason Schwartzman and Wes Anderson.
It's
Yes,
not
but it's-
far from Goodwill Hunting.
But it's like,
Damn,
but
Mike, you really got me there.
but it's as if Christopher Nolan, like, he has his own company of crew and actors that he always uses, And this was one of those things where where he wrote the movie, and when he was like, I only knew one like, it's like Christopher Nolan has like, of course, if Leonardo DiCaprio is in the fucking movie, he's gonna play the lead of your movie. It's not gonna be Cillian Murphy, but he could play a good guy that they're going into his brain, dude, in Inception,
Just
the
like
billionaire. Yeah. Cillian Murphy is not going to be one of the soldiers on the beach in Dunkirk that you follow, but he'll be a guy on a boat who's trying to lend a hand. You know what I mean? He'll tell the civilian side of that story. I'm just saying that, like, it seems like he's been looking for an opportunity to give Cillian Murphy the spotlight that he needs or deserved or wanted him to have, whatever it may be, but did not want to undercut one of his movies by miscasting him or miscasting a role. Because ultimately, like, here's the thing. It doesn't matter how good of an actor you are. You're not cut out for every role. You're just not. Someone's going to be better than you, and you're going to be a perfect fit for something. And I think this is like, Cillian Murphy's my friend, and I want to work with him, so I'm going to give him what I think he's best for in every single one of my movies. I finally have a role that I think
that he's best for.
And not only, and it's not just that he's best. I think this is the best performance in a Christopher Nolan movie that's ever been put out
And
there.
also,
I mean, listen,
who else possibly
Ledger's-
could have done it?
Exactly.
Who else? Even like take away the stable of Nolan collaborators. Just any other actor out there.
Hugh Jackman.
Who could have done it?
It could have been, like you said, Daniel Day-Lewis, but maybe like 10 to 15 years ago.
And then, yes, I agree.
So
And
you're pulling from like top tier act. There's like
I'm
you
pulling
literally
from
have
like
to go from the best of the best.
yes, I don't think anybody else really you could touch up there.
it was, and like I said, this is maybe not the best ever because that's a little controversial, but this is the best it's been since Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah.
And it's because the material is so rich and it's presented so well. And it's one of those performances where you remember what the art behind this is and why it can be so captivating.
It did
such a
feel
compelling thing.
very it is very autistic, obviously, and artistic. It's both. I mean, it's about it's about bombs.
It's artistic.
It's artistic. But I think there's so many sequences and there's so many shots and music and visuals that make it like half of an art piece. Like a lot of it is very abstract in that sense.
And that was the perfect way to present this movie because otherwise it'd be boring as fuck.
It would be really dry.
It'd be very dry.
I do think it was one other criticism I have for it is like it did feel very American, like pro-American sided.
But I mean, yes,
but
but
that was
also
also the politics of the time.
But that's the thing. They're showing the pro-American stuff, but they're also portraying it in a poor light. Like the McCarthy era was one of the most, I mean, like one of the worst times to be an American if you weren't generic NPC American.
If you weren't, and like it presents it in the best way I can say it, as it's short-sighted, as it's naive.
That's a good way.
Not that it's like you're stupid or dumb. It's just like they couldn't think past their own face
or their own fears.
Because one, they had no access to information, and number two, they needed to keep morale up in some way while they built this we're building a death machine.
And you also look at the generals when they're making the decision where to bomb.
Oh my God.
the
callous.
most fucked up scene in the whole movie.
And that's a real thing.
yeah.
That's a real
That's
thing. That's like the anecdote about, my wife and I honeymooned in Kyoto. That's a real fact.
Yeah.
that was said.
Unbelievable.
Harry Truman, like just being so callous about it. They're showing the blindness of just pure patriotism just for the sake of patriotism.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to go see this again. I didn't get what I needed out of it.
There
I'm admitting. I'll take it.
And maybe I'll see Barbie again.
So then other performances, Florence Pugh is great. I'd like to see her in another Christopher Nolan movie though.
Why? that.
Honestly, this was fine, but I'd like my normal Christopher Nolan affair next time. I want big.
Yeah.
I want bombs and bullets and like. Oh,
This
this
is
story
a one
happening.
for you, one for me kind of situation.
Yeah. I'll do the artistic shit if you keep giving me the goopy gobbly gamer brain stuff that I like with your
Fair.
no greens or reds color palette because you're colorblind as fuck.
Hey, a lot of blues.
I love the
was
color
beautiful.
of his films. I love them. So then God, what was it? What's the other actors? So Florence Pugh, I thought she was great. I thought she was fucking excellent.
Plays a good crazy girl.
I thought Emily Blunt was also off the charts. I mean, like, God, there's a couple scenes, a whole sequence in the movie where Emily Blunt is just sitting in a fucking chair for like 15 minutes saying nothing, out of focus. And it's like, no, that's Emily Blunt.
She's stealing the fucking
Yeah,
scene.
you're looking at her. You're not looking at. I realized that too.
Well,
Like,
no, I'm not even that. I'm just saying that like they didn't get a stand-in,
Yeah.
or because
right,
she was
yeah.
going to be. Chris Nolan was like, I need you to just sit on the couch, and those actors were like, yeah, no problem. I'll do that for you. You know, anything you want. Like,
There's this scene. There's a lot of lead up where stuff is happening to Oppenheimer, and his wife is like, "What the fuck? Why aren't you fighting for yourself? Why are you just letting them
took
do
out
this?"
your little boy dick and jerked you off in front of everyone.
I get paid 6 times as much as you.
That's all I could think of when she was
I
yelling
didn't
at
think
him.
about that, but that's fucking great. So there's like all of that happens, and she has a temper, and she's like quasi-alcoholic, maybe not even. I mean, like they gave their children away. She like,
Well, she had postpartum.
yeah. I mean, but yeah. So there's all of that. She's angry at her husband for not defending himself, and then they put her in the seat in the interrogation room,
The
and she
cuck
just
chair.
unleashes fucking fury on those guys. Incredible.
Yeah, she was great.
Her standouts for
What'd you think of the scene where she imagined Oppenheimer getting ridden in front of all those guys, and Florence Pugh's just looking at her like,
that
The
scene
stare.
made me
Yeah.
so uncomfortable,
I
and
laughed.
it did just like it was so good. Like it meant to do that, and I was just like, oh no.
yeah, yeah.
Because after that, that's when she's like, how dare you let them pick apart our entire lives? And he's like, well, it's not anything you didn't know. And she's like, literally, I do not give a fuck if it's not anything I didn't know. You're an embarrassment.
And she's like,
You're
it's
putting
on
it
the
on
record now.
record.
It's in history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That so her scene with that, her scene where she's in the chair, and then her scene where she finds Oppie,
Love that.
colloquially, when he had ridden off on his horse after Florence Pugh had killed herself.
Or
Or was assassinated.
that's the other thing too, is that like, well, because Liz brought up is like, do you think the hands were like he feels like he killed her because
I
he
thought it
drove
was
her
like
crazy?
that.
But I said, or it's because he said something to her and they fucking
US government.
assassinated her.
Oh,
Right.
there's a valid.
Yeah,
But
I just,
she left a note but didn't sign it.
I actually
Like,
just looked up, and like apparently like in real life he actually never like mentions like if she actually killed herself or not, and that's why they tell us about the suicide note
Okay.
not being signed. So I think there's definitely like 3 ways we could look at this. Yes,
Yeah.
That's
she either
cool.
just killed herself, assassination, well I guess just murder. Or like does he feel some kind of onus to it, because I think you're going to get to what that scene is with Emily Blunt and the horses and
Yeah, where he, like, you know, she rides like
there was
she,
a lot of really cool lines in this movie. And
yeah,
this was one of them
she
too.
rides. I don't remember exactly what she says. You can say it when I
She
get
said,
to it. But,
when you step in sin, you
oh yeah,
you can't be the victim.
yeah, you don't get to
you don't get to play the victim.
yeah, like you don't
yeah.
get to come
She's
off
like,
as the
pull
victim.
yourself together because there's a lot of people here that are depending on you.
yeah. He's breaking down, and I expected her to go and kind of like
She's
comfort her.
Yeah.
the way
comfort him.
Emily Blunt's character is written is like the perfect 1950s wife, in the sense where her whole world is raising his kids and making sure
and raising him.
yeah, and making sure he stays like in the like through the straight and narrow. But like she also understands, like comprehends the immense pressure and morality of the situation. That's why like when he cheats on her or has an affair, like because he had multiple affairs.
Yeah, he was a womanizer.
What's it called? Like she didn't give a shit because she knew the weight of what he was doing.
She gave a shit. She had so much
She
disdain.
just
had
to
Yeah.
let it go.
Yeah.
But yeah,
she was
that's
like,
the unfortunate.
I can't bring because this will fuck things up more. Like,
I mean, he clearly,
yeah, that is adorable. You know,
It is adorable.
he clearly tries to mask it because they're waiting for her to show up.
real quick.
He's like, we've walked through fire together. And it's like, who walked through fire together? You drug her through that damn fire on your own.
I just want to go back to that line. There's a lot of people here who rely on you. And I think it was interesting, the choice to say a lot of people here rather than being like everyone, the country is relying on you. It really makes it personal. Like this situation that we're in this little bubble. We're all working as a team, and this team relies on you, which I think is more impactful than the abstract of the entire country, the entire world.
I think it also brings them more like direct hands-on weight
Yeah.
to what they're doing.
The people that you see and work with every day.
And at that, like, I mean, I do agree with, his take where he's like, I feel there's blood on my hands. Like, of course you can't. And Truman's just a fucking prick. He's right, but he's a prick.
Get that crybaby out of here.
Was that Gary Oldman?
That was Gary Oldman.
I was
Gary
like,
Oldman.
why didn't anybody tell me Gary Oldman's in this movie?
Gary
He sat
Oldman is
down.
Churchill and Eisenhower.
He
now.
sat down, and I was like,
Truman.
Which one died?
sorry, he's Truman.
Oh, okay.
Truman dropped the bomb.
Oh, okay.
And also it didn't look like Eisenhower at all.
Who was the president who died in office before that? Was it Roosevelt?
Was it FDR?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
That's Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
We'll figure it out. But he sits down. That was a great character reveal because you can't tell who it is until they do the close-up shot
Yeah, it
of
was
when he
FDR.
sits down. It was FDR.
Yeah.
When he sits down across from him, and I was like, Gary fucking Oldman.
Yeah.
I think they did that fabulously. They did it a few times in the movie where somebody would sit down and you'd vaguely see who it was. Like we'll get to it probably, but Casey Affleck's character.
Rami
Like-
Malek's in this. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about that before when we came home. I was like, I love how all the cameos are like A-list actors to some degree, or at least they have,
Yeah.
I mean, like he's fucking.
he's up there. Yeah.
He's what's his name?
Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, there you go.
Mr. Robot.
Yeah.
I, Tanya. No,
So
I,
he
Robot.
took a baseball bat to her knees. No. So there's
Han Solo.
Han Solo, yeah. But my thing is that they always like kept you guessing like that person was out of focus or it's filmed from behind their head, and then you see his reaction and they turn around. Is it, you know what I mean? Or like you just hear their voice and like it's very much like, and it was none of the regular players.
No.
Like
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, Christian Bale. Hugh Jackman didn't like I was expecting like a multiverse of Nolan actors and then like but even then I'm like, oh okay, these are fucking cool ass cameos, you know what I mean?
And
like,
they're the actors that do interesting performances.
yeah, exactly. He cast who he thought was good for the role. He wasn't like, you think Marco would like this, or, you know what I mean? Like,
The other thing too
I
is
don't know what this is like.
I thought you were
That's him
holding two
dri-
pictures together.
I think a script in his face like
one, like we were saying earlier, I think Liz, you were saying like about how many names and just people that there are to keep up with, which I like that it wasn't, you easily could have condensed these people down to, all right, well, this guy did something and that guy did something and they don't ever cross paths and they're in Oppenheimer's life at different points. Just make them one character. There's some movies that would just make it easier. This one said, no, this is history. Let's just stick everybody in there. This was a huge fucking cast.
Massive.
Yeah.
lots of moving parts, and I'm sure there's been some consolidation from that point. You know what I mean? So let's talk about the test itself, the big moment, the Trinity test. I love the fact that they took all the sound out.
This is what I was
Except for his
saying.
breathing, right?
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
what I was saying in the non-spoiler section, the silence, the importance of silence in this movie.
Because it was one of those things where it's like I'm gonna use the term tunnel vision because like you know how like when you dream of something and like you're experiencing it, it's almost surreal.
But it's actually somebody who went into your dream and planted it
That's
there.
right. That's right. Okay, it was Dreamception.
It's Mike doing stank face over there.
Oh no! What instrument
Mental
is he picking up this
state.
time? What instrument is it now? Oh, a drum solo! Shit, Miles Teller. Oh,
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Anyway, we're talking about the Trinity test, right?
Yes.
The silence.
The silence, yes. And just hearing his breathing, because those moments are surreal. It's like you're not even experiencing them. You know what I mean? It's like you have to be present, but it's so unfucking believable what's going on in front of you that you're just trying to take it all in.
It's like one of those moments when you're so focused you forget to breathe.
Yeah.
And then you have to take a deep breath afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. And
Then you get hit by the shockwave.
Yeah.
yeah, well, I think that was a dramatization. I don't think this.
No.
It would
That's
take time
correct.
to get to you.
They were, at points 10 miles away.
yeah,
It takes, sound only travels 600 miles an hour or whatever. Like,
I love the idea that you were not close to the explosion. You were seeing it from the perspective that the characters were seeing it from. Like there was this one
we were
shot.
close to it. There were parts where the whole fireball filled the screen.
Yeah,
in
but I'm
its
saying
entirety.
like you weren't there when you didn't.
Oh, you
see
didn't
the
ride the
thing.
bomb down on
Yeah,
a camera.
Yeah, or you didn't see the piston fire and create the explosion.
Right.
A James
It's
Bond intro.
from an observer's perspective.
Yeah. And I love that like it's almost like a submarine porthole that they're looking out.
Yeah.
And it's like in the darkness and it's way small in the frame down at the bottom. It's like, oh, like they're far. And then you see it and and that explosion was made with magnesium and polyurethane. They picked it up in Ohio. It was actually on the ground.
Are you talking about? You're talking about in reality to shoot this shot.
They did a bunch of it under like hoods and stuff. They did it, and what they did was they would then take that, and then they would stitch those elements out and create their own elements
like
filled
plates.
from different angles. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then they just stuck them in where they had to and comped them in and all that stuff. Because like 90% of this is done in camera, and when they said there was going to be no CGI, I mean, like, listen, if the opportunity was there for him to launch and to set off a nuke, like even a tiny one,
He
I'm
would've.
sure
A tactical nuke.
I'm sure he would have looked into it. Like, how big do these get? You know what I mean?
Like, can I? Do I have to get like NATO involved if I got to do
and
this? Like,
the one thing I am disappointed in the atomic test is that there was no.
Nobody got fried like Sarah Connor.
No, or at least at the very least, nobody stood under as the mushroom cloud.
oh, you wanted like
my
scale.
You wanted like a silhouette
Yeah,
scale.
yeah, like one of those things.
It
you know?
was kind of funny when they're like postponing the test and he's like, hey, how about you get your men away from the steel tower with the atomic bomb in a lightning storm?
Yeah.
He's also a weatherman throughout this whole movie. He's like, it'll let up. It's good. I know this desert.
I know these things. It'll break at dawn.
Yeah.
Can I direct us back to the silence? Because there's actually something else I took away from that. Are these anxiety attacks that he's having every time that it's quiet?
I think you get a lot of the weight of the, like, I think they say it almost in the movie. He's like, or someone says, it might be Emily Blunt's character. It's like, you see the world how we can't,
Yes.
or something
I
to
was
that
trying to
effect.
explain this to Liz is that like people with that type of intelligence cannot empathize with you because they do not see the world through an emotional core. They just can't. It's not ones and zeros. I'm
Yeah.
not saying they're not
Yeah.
loving or compassionate people.
No, but they're like,
What I'm
they're
saying
They're
is
sociopaths.
Yes.
they're plagued by
They're-
the thoughts and intelligence, and I think
As-
it's
as
effectively
It's like
Thanos-
cosmic horror almost.
as
Yes,
Thanos,
absolutely.
As Thanos put it, he was cursed with knowledge.
he was cursed
You know what
with
I mean?
knowledge.
Yeah.
Thanos didn't do
And,
anything
like,
wrong.
He was
Prometheus.
cursed with a certain set of skills. You know what I mean? And like when you're on that level of intellect, you're like, I can build and destroy, fuck everyone around
Yes,
me.
but
You're a
he also-
megalomaniac.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
but he still had to come to terms with killing 120,000
Well, that's the
people.
thing. I don't think he ever truly does.
Well, they go into it about, like, he does all of the martyrdom and, like, basically tries to
He
become a
has.
martyr,
Well, I mean, like,
which
his,
is fine.
Well, remember, his whole hitch wasn't making the bomb. It was what they were going to do with it afterwards. You know what I mean? Because remember, the morality of it doesn't set in until later on when they're doing like estimations and everything.
And then he's like, it killed way more than you thought it would kill.
Yeah, and like that's the other thing too is that like, I mean, even what's his name, Truman said it. They don't care who made the bomb; they care about who dropped the bomb. Like pretty much like shut the fuck up. No one's checking the owner's manual on the bomb. So why don't you just chill out? You know what I mean?
And it was also just like, just Truman whipping his dick out and being like, I don't know who the fuck you think you are. Like, you think you have to make hard decisions, I have to make hard decisions. And
Yeah.
I'll do it every day because I'm better than you. Like, that was the first instance in the entire film where I feel like
my
they
dad was
checked.
talking to me there
Yeah,
for a second.
right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No,
that
it's
like
fine.
that anybody actually checked him
Right.
in that way.
I'm out here making decisions.
And I do understand the moral quandary where in the beginning he's saying, if we don't do this, they will. And that's way more of a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would rather it be us to have that kind of power. And then to get to the other side of it and say, oh, fuck, this
So-
was maybe not the
And
best.
the other thing that I feel is presented well in this film, because nobody shouts at you. It's all through conversation. Like all you're
Except
supposed
for
to,
Matt Damon.
Yeah, you're supposed to infer. Yeah,
We do.
You're
need to talk
supposed to
about him.
you're supposed to infer about what's going on, like through their conversations. It's like the characters are telling the story as opposed to the script is telling the characters to tell the story. That's how I feel this is written. And one of the best representations of that would be that meeting, but more specifically, like Germany was never close to building a bomb. Remember, they say that when Kenneth Branagh shows up, when he's like, I'm in the middle of solving this mystery on this boat over here. The guy in Germany made a wrong turn. Remember, he didn't figure out the what's it called?
Or he was doing heavy water instead or whatever.
Oh.
You just got Valdo'd.
But yeah, they would have figured it out eventually, and which is what they say about Russia later on.
yeah.
But yeah,
Well, okay, but anyway, my point being is that Germany wasn't close to a bomb. We were on the cusp, the precipice of figuring out this technology, the Trinity test. And then on top of all that, you can let him out, Liz. And then on top of all of that, Germany's surrender was imminent. So then it became, well, we put $2 billion into this, and now we want this weapon, whether we're in danger or not anymore.
well
And that's really when his morality crisis kicked into overdrive, because now it's like, if we don't need to use this, he wanted
Shut
to let Stalin know that we have this power.
to have an armistice, yeah,
Exactly. And like that we don't want to enter an arms race with them. But then, you find out through like the Los Alamos spy and everything, like they tested a fucking
Who
nuke.
wound up being the spy?
The
British
British guy. Well,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
German, but they plucked him out of Germany.
Right.
Klaus
When did you
Yeah.
become British?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
when
they
When they
told
told
him.
me I
told
would
me,
stop being German. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but either way though, I like I said, I feel like that depiction of history, even though it's not like there's not some like commander in a boardroom with like an inconsequential soldier that you're seeing these events through the eyes of.
Yeah.
It's like this conversation really happened.
Yeah.
Like they were like, no, we put fuck this. We're the superpower here. And like, yo, I love the way that they frame the fucking bombs. Like you don't ever see the bombs, Little Boy and Fat Man.
you see them getting closed
just
up,
getting
yeah.
closed up because you know what's in there. And then as they drive, I thought this was a problem with the sound mix, and now that I'm describing it to you, I think it's actually a lot cooler.
So you're going to bump it up
As-
to a 9.5?
As he's driving away, those fucking trucks are far down the road, and you can still hear the chains.
Yeah, it's
because
it's
he's
the,
so hyper. Like, oh,
it's Marley's chains.
yeah,
like,
he's like, oh, fuck, like that's it, leaving my hands. Because remember, he said if you drop them too high or if you drop them too low, and
we'll take it
We'll
from
take
here.
it from here. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll drop it. We know it just want to take.
Listen,
you just
buddy,
build it.
if there's anybody
We'll
who knows
fucking
how to drop a bomb,
anybody knows
it's
how to
me.
kill
Okay.
some people, it's the U.S. Army.
All right.
Like,
I like you went full Patrick Warburton.
if anybody knows how to
And
kill
so
some people,
it absolutely.
Mike, that's
the
really
US
good.
Army.
I don't remember the specifics of dropping the bomb from my studies on World War II, but I
You remember the name of the plane?
I don't remember the name of
The
the plane.
Enola Gay.
They wanted to draw, or originally a plan was considered that they were going to tell Japan, like show them footage of the test or something, and they were like, well, they could think that's fake. Then another
You could think that was Stanley Kubrick.
then another consideration was dropping it out in the ocean, and they were like, well, that won't really do too much. Then they thought, let's drop it on an island off of the mainland. and just to show them our might. And even then, like I'm saying, it was a push the entire time. Like, let's just kill these people. Like drop it on a major city.
The justification for that is that, and I'm not saying this is right, I'm saying what they said additional justification was that Japan would have never surrendered and we would have lost millions in a land war with Japan. And there were, I can't remember what it is, the facts that the amount of Purple Hearts that they were preparing for the land war invasion, because we were preparing to invade Japan.
Yeah.
They were using those throughout.
Until like last week.
I'm not kidding. Like they might have got rid of those like in Operation Desert Storm or something.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Like,
crazy.
Do you know
they-
what I'm realizing though? Did they talk about Pearl Harbor at all?
They did, I think, maybe once.
Because like I feel like part of that, like all of this like resentment towards Japan and being like, yeah, we are going to essentially just fuck up Japan for the hell of it, even though we know that Hitler's dead. Germany is, about to surrender.
It was the start of, it was imperialism. We were like, we're showing everybody what our new fucking toy then, and Japan just happens to be the guy that we're gonna serve it up to.
If I just confirmed it, it was 4 years ahead of that. So Pearl Harbor happened 4 years later.
And 41 and 45, yeah.
Yeah, because
So-
we were like, listen, we may not come today, but it might be the next day or the next day or the next day, and we're just gonna fucking mollywop you.
Mm-hmm.
And then
That's
so
so
they
sad.
so they did Hiroshima first.
And then 2 days
And
later,
then
I think they
4
did.
days
4 days later.
they did
Yeah.
Nagasaki, and after that they surrendered.
Yeah.
because they were like, we'll just keep dropping these on, and like this is not the end of the. They wanted to use them against the fucking Chinese in Korea and Vietnam, and what they wanted to do was they wanted to bomb a wasteland between China and Korea, so this way you could not inhabit that land.
Yeah.
Cutting off all like trade routes and everything, and so that they were very like
They were ready to just go.
it was very much like his fear was absolutely like justified that if we use this now, there's the precedent has been set, you know what I mean? And thankfully it hasn't gotten too far away from us, because nobody wants to rule a wasteland.
What do you guys think about like the lack of showing of a quote unquote enemy in this movie? Like of the typical like German or Japanese enemy. Like we don't see anything realistically.
It's not that story.
I know it's not that story, but
I'd like to see Christopher Nolan do a story.
I was
story.
I was interested in how there would be some slight, I don't want to say sympathizing for the what happened from dropping this bomb, and I felt like that wasn't involved at all, and it might just be from the fact of like it had a couple moments like when they saw the skin peeling off of the person and things that.
I looked at that and I was like, of course, that's Christopher Nolan. He did it practically, so it doesn't look like it would look. But that being said, I'll give it a pass because they didn't even know what that would look like at the time. Somebody being incinerated from the sky.
Yeah, what about him stepping into the chest cavity of a totally burned up human being?
Yeah, and I love how even at that speech, he was basically like, I bet the Japanese like that one, motherfuckers.
He's like, I wish the Germans would have got it too.
Yeah.
But that even felt like you were saying the panic attacks. It's like it felt like he was just trying to get through that speech.
So
Yeah.
I actually have now gotten a chance to think about this. I feel like we almost saw this too close to the podcast tonight because we bring up a good point where there's this line where I can't remember who it was, says to him, like, you stopped being a physicist long ago. Like,
you're a politician
You're a
now.
politician
now,
now.
yeah.
So I'm
Josh
now,
Hartnett.
Yeah.
Which, by the way,
Hold on, let Liz finish her statement.
I'm now thinking, is this scene where he's like, I wish we had gotten it done sooner to drop it on Germany, but he's like having this panic attack. But is that also the point where he goes from physicist to politician? Because he's now taking on this embodiment of, I'm going to give the people what they want. It doesn't matter what I think.
Yeah.
It
That's a
matters
great
what
point.
these people want to hear.
Yeah.
But he's also having this realization because now there's this one couple that's like making out under the bleachers. Then there's another couple sitting there sobbing together.
And that guy
with,
that throws up from his nose.
wait, why did that guy throw up?
Probably
Just
The
about we
nuclear-
just bombed and killed
Yes.
thousands of people.
I didn't. To me, that was not a real thing that was happening. That the guy throwing up was similar to the guy whose chest that Oppenheimer stepped in. It's somebody dealing with the effects of radiation poisoning.
Maybe.
Yeah,
It
that's
might-
what
I
I
mean,
thought.
It could be.
But
They were also passing around bottles of vodka.
Yeah.
So we
It
could
could be
say
either.
It could be. It
Yeah.
could serve multiple purposes.
So that's one thing we haven't brought up is like we've been talking the politics of this movie in the way in the storytelling, but literally the politics of this movie is I don't want to like the way they say openly talk about and use the word communism, and they talk about it's geopolitical, whereas Barbie was identity. This is geopolitical, and it's
Both
set,
movies talk about fascists.
yes,
Which I
and-
did not
true.
expect.
Which I love how they rationalize how, well, now we're not dealing with fascists, we're dealing with communists, and god damn it, they're worse. Like, you know what I mean? It's just this, like I said, the McCarthy era, this hyper, like this Red Scare bullshit.
Like
You
his
know
shirt
what I mean?
color.
Yeah, like dude, these pants get greener every time I look at them. So it's just I love the way it's like it captured the era and the times and like the paranoia of it all. Like, you know, he was followed, his wires were tapped, you know, and
They're
all
taking license plates.
all
at
yeah, all because they were suspected communists. You know what I mean? Like they weren't even allowed to express different ideas without being labeled something outrageous like a communist. And
Sounds
I
like
can't,
America
can't
today.
imagine where else that would happen and during what time period, unless the person saying it was really fucking stupid
Continually.
and was stupid their whole life. But back then it was a real political belief. It was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yo, don't you be a fucking communist.
You never stop that.
Are you fucking commie? All right, chill. Okay.
Did you look at my wife weird?
I'm gonna
Now you're a
mace you.
fucking
All
communist.
right. Well, all right. I don't have anything too much else for spoilers.
Matt Damon, Josh Hartnett.
Okay.
We got to talk
Let's
about
do
them.
Matt Damon first.
Fat Damon.
Was a little big, but he's older now.
You know,
Fat
They
Damon.
look puffy.
He
Puff
looked,
Damon.
Puff Damon.
he was good though. He was excellent.
He was
I
He's
liked
really
him.
great. Honestly, one of my favorite roles I've seen him in.
He's
Yeah.
coming off the high of doing Air,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he's like, got one with my boy in the can, so let's do
Yeah,
this.
exactly. And Josh Hartnett.
I'm glad he's back. He did that stellar episode of Black Mirror. He starred in one of them. Did you guys see?
No.
Yeah, it's
I imagine he's gonna get some work after this because he was fucking excellent.
he's
in
great
this.
in this.
We haven't
Maybe he'll be Harvey Dent.
Ooh, I'd be down.
That'd be cool.
I'd be okay with
That'd
that.
be cool.
Can we talk about Matt Damon's fear of flying? And he took a train everywhere and straight up says it. Like, he's like, you know, it'd be faster if we flew. Because you were talking about the trains before and how Christopher Nolan is all about these trains. And Matt Damon is like, no,
That's
we are
why
taking.
Pat likes Nolan.
That's why we're taking the
Trains.
trains everywhere. He goes, I'd rather get there, you know, alive. And Cillian Murphy's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, but they said planes are too dangerous
Yeah.
because
They're the most important people.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But-
Oh
And-
no, planes. Didn't they say they needed the planes? Because all the planes are going to the front. We
Oh,
need
yeah,
the planes.
yeah.
Oh, I thought it was.
Well,
I heard it from a
and the
safety.
other thing was that the location he picked was in the middle of these train lines, and
Right.
and it was in
The
New Mexico,
network.
and and it was
Oh,
a
I thought he
network.
said we build train lines.
Well, they could. I mean, obviously,
I think he chose those locations because they were in an already established rail
Yeah.
network.
and he you're right, they probably did build train lines because I mean, like, you look at Russia, if you ever go to Russia, there's all these roads that lead from Moscow all the way to Berlin because they just built roads from one capital city to the other to, you know, because the Red Army was coming for Berlin, you know. So but yeah, okay, I got some tweets though, but if we're all good on spoilers, there's nothing else to mention. Just see, like, listen, see this.
The one thing I think we have to mention is the last line by Alden Ehrenreich when, I mean, we barely even touched on Robert Downey Jr. He was incredible as the villain of this movie.
There is so much we could talk
There's
about.
so
But
much.
there's too much. So he's just like paranoid, thinks that Oppenheimer is all like focused on having the spotlight on him. Meanwhile, that's what he's doing. And he thinks that when Oppenheimer and Einstein first speak, when, you know, as far as Robert Downey Jr.'s character knows, that they're talking shit on him, and Alden Ehrenreich just goes, maybe they were talking about something more important. Like, that line was fucking incredible.
Yeah, and
Smacks
he's
him.
like, I'm denied, aren't I?
Because
You know what I mean? And like,
So no head.
yeah. So no head. All right, shit.
Well,
And then the conversation turned out to be
Yeah.
Oppenheimer realizing I just did start an unstoppable chain reaction.
Yeah, and like,
Yeah.
and the
A train reaction.
I love Albert Einstein was also very good in the
Yeah.
movie too. It's
Was.
funny how he's like, you know, what was it, Tesla,
An old fart
Einstein?
kinda dude, yeah.
You know what I mean? Churchill.
when he just walks up when that car drives away and I'm like,
Yeah.
I had to ask Pat. I was like, can you look up when the hell Albert Einstein was alive?
he died in 55.
Yeah.
So in 54, when that, like, he died a year after, and like, it makes sense.
Coincidence?
It makes sense.
10 years
Like when you
after.
see that whole ending, it makes sense. Oh, that's why he wanted to give him a job, because he wanted to get him the fuck out of the way.
Yeah.
Fun fact: they shot that in Einstein's office, like his real old school office, because they wanted to use Princeton for it, but Oppenheimer planted a tree and it grew in front of the lake where he wanted to film
Oh,
it.
funny.
And Chris Nolan was like, "Well, I can't fucking cut down Oppenheimer's tree, so
Why can't there just be a tree there?
because you wouldn't be able to
to
see them."
Einstein just throwing
Oh,
stuff
in
into
front
the
of the
pond.
window?
Yeah, yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. So, and that was, let's see, nice revelation. And like, it's just so funny how it's like how the villain of the film is really just someone who's also extremely ambitious, and Oppenheimer humiliated him because he didn't realize how politically involved he had become. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right.
It was more like because like
And he never thinks about the consequences of what he's saying.
Right.
yeah.
Because he's too smart.
Too smart.
He doesn't have to
doesn't
think about it
think
the
the
same
same
way.
way.
Exactly. So
do you think us as the viewers we're supposed to go on this like arc with Alden, Han Solo? I can't.
that's certainly the audience
because-
view.
We
yeah.
did. Yeah.
because we are like, oh, Robert Downey Jr. is like, we're all on board. Like his character, we're like, yep, he's a great guy. We love it. And then we're learning all the facts about everything that happened. He's learning all the facts
Yeah.
of this. Like he says, I wasn't given all the facts. So we're kind of going along this trip with
Yeah.
him.
When we're finding out that like Robert Downey Jr.'s character has been like leading this whole thing the whole time, that's when he's finding out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
All right.
agreed.
That's all.
I think we're good, everybody.
Let's look at some
Let's look
tweets.
at some tweets. Unironically being the plot of the movie. Okay, hold on, wait. Sorry. There's a scene in Oppenheimer. These are both Barbie and Oppenheimer. There's a scene in Oppenheimer where they're deciding to where to drop the bomb, and one of the military guys doesn't want to drop it in Kyoto because he and his wife vacation there. It's the most incisive. Okay, depictions of Western imperialism.
For fucking sure.
And again, that was a real thing that happened.
The fact that
wild.
Barbie and Oppenheimer releasing at the same time did not result in a Barbie versus Oppenheimer instead of produced a Barbie and Oppenheimer tells me something has healed in the world. I don't know. The supporting character cast in Oppenheimer is fucking crazy. Christopher Nolan seemed to draw talent from those unexpected of places. Some random senator would turn around midway in the movie to be like, "Is that fucking Andy Milonakis?" WB decided to be petty against Nolan by scheduling their event movie of the summer against his R-rated 3-hour biopic, and as a direct result, they have inadvertently given him the biggest non-Batman opening of his career. This man just keeps finding new and crazy ways to win.
And
Is
Barbie
that,
took a shot at
What's
Zack
their
Snyder.
release?
Barbie.
What?
WB?
WB?
Oh,
It's Barbie.
that was. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, that was
Halfway
intentional,
through
yeah.
Oppenheimer, screen blanks, audio continues, theater pitch black, audience hears background dialogue, unable to view accompanying images, employee announces 2 to 3 minute rewind. The guy on the aisle next to me. We live in a third world country.
God.
I can
Oh,
destroy Barbie and Ken for a whole hour. What kind of flex is this?
I saw a tweet. All right, go ahead. Never mind.
Impossible to overstate how cool it is that a talky 3-hour historical drama is having a higher opening weekend than The Flash, Indiana Jones, and Black Adam.
Oh my
How
God.
many mainstream filmmakers are there left who puts butts in seats like that?
That's
Yep.
great.
I like that Oppenheimer opens with the single hardest on-screen text of all time.
That Prometheus shit.
This film is dedicated to the brave Mujahideen fighters of Afghanistan. Fun fact, no women speak until 20 minutes into Oppenheimer, and then within a minute there's a sex scene.
Jeez.
Amazing coincidence that Nuclear bombs were invented during the only war to ever definitely 100% require nuclear bombs to be dropped before it to end. And we never needed them to use them before or since. Inside a month from a test to a single required use. What luck. Honestly, I was kind of surprised that this was the closing line of Oppenheimer. Delivered by Einstein directly into the camera. Weird fourth wall break. Good job, Oppie. I'm proud of you for making the bomb. That's the lesson of the movie. That was good, actually.
I love these kind of tweets.
Barbie has crossed 150 million global at the box office, surpassing 145 million budget. More convinced than ever that the MCU is just a money laundering scheme. How did Thor: Love and Thunder just cost 100 million more than this?
Honestly, fucking honestly.
Ryan Gosling's back must be absolutely shattered from carrying every scene he was in. Oppenheimer spoilers. He built a what? Oppenheimer movie is way too long. A big part of why Barbenheimer still works is there's no SNL sketch last week to kill the joke. Oppie, I must go now. Where, Albert? All I have for you is a gesture in combination with a word. Tenet. How will I find you? You won't, but look into your dreams and I may be there. I thought you said that was impossible. No, I said it was Inception.
Amazing.
Nolan somehow got Hartnett to radiate the same energy as prime era Kevin Costner and Richard Gere.
Yeah.
How the hell did they pull that shit off?
That's perfect.
The family vote was only ever going one way. Barbie first, then it is Barbenheimer. Do you guys know who this is?
That's Rishi Sunak.
That's Rishi-
Yeah. Oppenheimer must hit different when you actually have the power responsibility to order a nuclear strike. Check out the retweet. Shout out Mark. Thank you God for releasing Barbie and Oppenheimer during a writer strike so we don't have to deal with an SNL
Fucking
Barbenheimer
for real.
sketch.
Oh my god.
Well, did it. Barbenheimer is done. I watched Barbie beat Pigman 4 and watched Oppenheimer all within 24 hours. I could finally
Oh my
rest.
God.
That's goals.
Who saw Oppenheimer in the front seat? Heart-pounding cinema.
Hell yeah.
Josh Peck. Once again, you
White.
white.
Yeah.
White.
White.
Oh, sorry.
You'll get
Once
there.
again, white Hollywood
Liz and I
hides
are
black
two online.
excellence by creating a white man with the atom bomb, so the actual man we all know who is responsible. My 14-year-old son watched Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer last night and all. He says now he wants to go to college to study physics and become a scientist. One day, he says he's going to make an even bigger bomb that kills even more people. So excited to see the youth inspired.
Jesus.
I just told my 10-year-old son about Oppenheimer. He had tears in his eyes. And then when he did the Wakanda pose and said, Oppenheimer Wakanda forever, which is a sort of pop culture cross reference that I can celebrate.
Fuck. That's good.
I brought my 4-year-old to see Barbie, and he said, that wast thine most wokest and cringest cinema I have ever seen. The best CGI work in India award goes to the Indian censor board for Florence Pugh's black dress in
Amazing.
Oppenheimer. I just got out of Oppenheimer, and my dad let a loud "uh-oh" in the back theater when he saw topless Florence Pugh. Another opulent way to watch Oppenheimer. So confused as to why Florence Pugh has a full nude scene in a film about building an atomic bomb. Not complaining though. We were at a 10:30 a.m. showing of Oppenheimer, and after he said, "Now I've become death," for the first time, someone verbally audibly cracked a beer open. Cinema is so back.
Was that you, Bert?
I watched it.
Yeah, honestly.
I watched it so you don't have to. First 17 minutes are spent complaining that he couldn't see the screen over the guy in front of him. Oppenheimer in the first row.
I saw one that was potion seller.
If you went back in time and told J. Robert Oppenheimer about the whole Barbenheimer thing, he would kill us. If I had a nickel for every time Will Ferrell played a business executive in a fictionalized real world of a movie about a popular toy empire, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
What's the first one?
Lego movie. I loved Oppenheimer, but thought the sex scene between him and Albert Einstein was a bit excessive.
Oh, Oppie.
What if I told you he gave the best performance in Oppenheimer? He went bar for bar with RDJ's best performance in 20 years. I owe you an apology, Alden. I was unfamiliar with your game.
Fuck yeah.
At the
Rob Delaney.
at the Sound of Freedom second viewing, while my wife and her trainer see Barbie next door.
Oh.
Rob Delaney is fucking hysterical.
This moment really took me out of the movie. I am become death, destroyer of worlds. Okay, I guess that just happened. Christopher Nolan took one look at Jack Quaid and said, "This man needs to play the bongos."
Yeah.
There's a scene in Oppenheimer where the U.S. official declares a spare a city. In a Japanese city because he and his wife vacation there is far more effective at communicating the evil play here than, quote, showing Hiroshima would have been. Never forget the last time we saw Hiroshima in
They're just
Blockbuster.
destroying that movie.
Oh, yeah, and then this was what Barbie's accomplishments were. And then it's insane and great that Best Supporting Actor could legitimately come down to
I
this.
promise you it will.
Oppenheimer's sacred text reading sex scene is being condemned in India. This is a direct assault on religious beliefs of a billion tolerant Hindus. It appears to be part of a larger conspiracy by anti-Hindu forces. Dude, I can't get an IMAX ticket for Oppenheimer. This is 6:30 p.m. 70 millimeters showing the film for August 6th.
God damn.
And then Wednesday, August 6th is the last day I see IMAX 70 millimeter listed. Here's the full day. You can't even go see this.
You can sit in the front.
That's the New York one, right?
That's the one we were gonna go
That's
to.
Yeah.
the Lincoln Square.
Yeah. So
We were right
that
on
was
like one of
tweets.
those
I have a little what's it called?
Pee-pee?
Yes.
Injury.
I have a little meme video. If you guys, it's
Yeah.
about 40 seconds of memes. You
Go
guys
for
want
it.
to see it?
Did you make this yourself?
I mean, like I just cut it together.
Yeah, I mean,
Here we go.
Just think about it.
Wait, this isn't Barbie?
So I built this Barbie PC, but then they asked me to build one for Oppenheimer.
Sloppenheimer. I saw this one, yeah. LBJ.
I'm a 10, but I'm still holding a can.
Oh my god.
Wonderful.
And then
Let's do clip of the week and get the fuck out
let's
of
do some
here.
clip of the week.
Oh yeah, it's the clip of the week. Oh, it's the clip of the week. It's the clip of the week.
All right, let's do it. This does not look good already.
That's a shaky ladder.
This is like the ladder.
Get up.
Please get up. Oh, okay. Dude, this was like the ladder that Liz's dad had before I bought him the new
I
one.
like it in reverse.
Yeah, dude, in reverse, he's got the best ladder ever, all right? Takes him right to the top.
And he's all good.
I also love the LG shout out right there.
Life's good, baby.
Sponsored by
Product
LG.
God, so he's carrying up an AC unit to put on the roof, and the ladder just gives, and it impales his
He
shoulder.
definitely fucked himself up on that. Like this
yeah, the
right
corner
here.
like
Yeah,
gets-
the corner absolutely hit his weenus. Check it out.
No, it hit his.
Boom, there it is.
That
Weenus.
funny bone.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Yeah, it took it right out the fucking wall. Fuck.
I was so concerned with the air conditioner, I didn't even notice the
I was
shelf.
so concerned with the man getting injured, Nick.
I mean, I'm not concerned with
Sorry,
the man
Mike.
because if he was silly enough to get up on a ladder,
Yeah, that was-
wobbly,
He's just having a silly, goofy time.
That's,
he'd do good in the Barbie movie.
that guy just won a Darwin Award.
All right. I think we can wrap it up for tonight.
I think we're
good.
spent.
So with that
Spent.
said, thank you very much for checking out this episode of Press Any Key. We did it. Summer movie season 2023 is officially over. We finished it with Barbenheimer, and we will see you all next week for the best video games from 2013. Bye bye.